Welcome to Audio Waves. If you have a dream, a career goal, or even just a desire to make better friends, you are in the business of selling. But do not worry. Selling yourself is not about wearing a cheap suit, being pushy, or lying. It is simply the art of letting the world see your true value. In this audiobook, we are going to strip away the complex psychology and give you the simple, honest tools to present your best self to anyone, anywhere. Let us dive in. Before we begin, I have a task for you. Think about one thing you have achieved in your life that you are incredibly proud of. Comment your answer below right now. It can be anything from graduating school to making a perfect cup of coffee this morning. Let us celebrate your wins together. Chapter 1. Finding your hidden value. What does it mean to be valuable? Value is not something you are born with. It is something you recognize and cultivate. We often think value is tied to money, beauty, or extreme talent. This is false. Value is simply your ability to solve a problem or improve a situation for someone else. When you make someone smile, you provide value. When you organize a messy room, you provide value. When you listen to a friend who is crying, you provide massive value. You must stop believing that only extraordinary people have value. Everyday actions hold incredible worth. You are a walking collection of solutions. You just need to realize it. Why do you doubt yourself so much? It is not because you are broken. It is because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, humans lived in constant danger. If an early human was overconfident and thought they could fight a wild animal, they did not survive. If an early human was anxious, cautious, and constantly looked for their own weaknesses, they stayed alive. Your brain is wired for survival, not for happiness. It will constantly point out your flaws to keep you safe from rejection. Rejection in the ancient world meant being kicked out of the tribe, which meant certain death. Today, rejection just means a bad job interview or a weird date. But your brain still reacts like it is a matter of life and death. Understanding this is the first step. Your self-doubt is not a reflection of your actual ability. It is just an ancient survival mechanism playing tricks on you. We must talk about the feeling of being a fraud. Psychologists call this imposter syndrome. Studies show that over 70% of highly successful people experience this. They wake up terrified that someone is going to realize they do not belong there. Think about that. Doctors, brilliant engineers, and famous actors all look in the mirror and think they are faking it. Why does this happen? It happens because of an information gap. You know every single mistake you have ever made. You know every time you felt lazy, confused, or scared. But you do not know these things about other people. You only see their final, polished results. You are comparing your messy behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. The actionable step here is to remember that everyone is pretending to some degree. The smartest person you know has days where they feel completely lost. When you realize that everyone is figuring it out as they go, the pressure disappears. You do not need to be perfect to be valuable. You just need to be willing to try. You cannot sell yourself if you do not know what you are selling. Most people are terrible at identifying their own strengths, because the things you are best at feel completely natural to you. If you are naturally organized, you assume everyone else is too. If you are naturally good at resolving arguments, you assume it is just common sense. It is not common sense. It is a rare and valuable skill. You must start looking for the things that feel effortless to you, but seem incredibly difficult to other people. Here is how you do it. Actionable step. Get a piece of paper and write down the answers to 3 prompts. First, notice what people constantly ask you for help with. Do they ask you to proofread their work? Do they ask you for advice on their relationships? Do they ask you how to fix their computer? What people ask you for is a direct map to your value. Second, think about what annoys you about other people. When you watch someone struggle with a simple task and you feel frustrated because it seems so easy, that is a massive clue. Your frustration is actually a radar pointing to your natural talent. Third, think about what you can talk about for hours without getting tired. Passion is a massive indicator of hidden ability. Self-help is not just about thinking, it is about doing. We are going to do an exercise that feels very uncomfortable but is incredibly effective. It is called the mirror exercise. Every morning for the next 7 days you are going to stand in front of your bathroom mirror. you are going to look yourself directly in the eyes, and you are going to say one positive thing about yourself out loud. You cannot look away, you cannot laugh, you must say it clearly and with conviction. Say things like, "I am a very loyal friend," or say, "I work incredibly hard even when I am tired," or say, "I have a great sense of humor." Why do we do this? Because your brain believes the words that come out of your own mouth more than anything else in the world. If you constantly say you are stupid, your brain will look for evidence to prove you are stupid. If you say you are capable, your brain will start looking for evidence of your capability. This is not magic. It is basic psychology. You are training your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, to start noticing your wins instead of your losses. When it is time to actually talk to someone else about your value, you must understand the difference between features and benefits. This is a classic sales principle that applies directly to selling yourself. A feature is a fact about you. A benefit is what that fact does for the other person. People do not care about your features. They only care about your benefits. Let me explain. If you are buying a car, a feature is that the car has anti-lock brakes. The benefit is that your family will be safe in a rainstorm. The benefit is what actually sells the car. When you go into a job interview and say, "I have a degree in accounting," that is a feature. Nobody cares. You must follow it up with a benefit. You must say, "I have a degree in accounting, which means I can help your business find areas where you are losing money and help you increase your profits." Do you see the difference? You must connect the dots for them. Actionable step. Take the list of skills you wrote down earlier. After every single skill, write the words, which means that. I am a great listener, which means that I will make your customers feel heard and respected. I am highly adaptable, which means that when things go wrong, I will not panic, I will just find a solution. Always sell the benefit. Sometimes you have immense value, but you are completely invisible because you are in the wrong environment. Value is entirely subjective. Let me give you a real-world example. Think about a bottle of water. If you buy a bottle of water at a local grocery store, it might cost $1. If you buy that exact same bottle of water at a fancy restaurant, it costs $3. If you buy it at an airport, it costs $5. And if you are lost in the desert, that exact same bottle of water is worth $1 million. The water never changed. Not a single drop inside the bottle changed. The only thing that changed was the environment. If you feel useless right now, if you feel like nobody appreciates you, do not immediately assume you are worthless. You might just be a bottle of water sitting in a grocery store. You need to find your desert. You need to find the place where your specific skills are desperately needed. Actionable step. Evaluate your current job, your current friend group, and your current relationships. Are you constantly fighting to be heard? Are your talents ignored? If the answer is yes, you do not need to fix yourself. You need to change your location. Start networking in different industries. Join new communities. Keep moving until you find the people who look at you and see $1 million. We must address the biggest destroyer of internal value, comparison. We live in an era where you have access to the lives of 8 billion people on your phone. 100 years ago, you only had to be the best blacksmith in your village to feel incredibly valuable. Today, you can go online and find a 10-year-old who is better at your hobby than you will ever be. This constant comparison destroys your self-worth. You must stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Actionable step. You must curate your influences. If looking at social media makes you feel like you are falling behind in life, you must stop looking at it. Unfollow every single account that makes you feel inadequate. Protect your mental energy like it is a bank account. You only have a limited amount of focus every day. If you spend it dwelling on how much better someone else is doing, you have zero energy left to build your own life. The only person you're allowed to compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Did you learn one new thing today? Did you react a little better to stress today? If yes, you are winning. Let us dive deeper into the illusion of modern value. Many people believe their value is tied to the number of likes they get, the followers they have, or the brand of clothes they wear. This is completely fake. It is a fabricated system designed to make you feel empty so you will buy more things. True value is quiet. True value is the ability to stay calm in a crisis. True value is the ability to keep a promise. True value is showing up for people when it is inconvenient. Actionable step. Write down 5 moments in your life where you felt truly proud of yourself. I guarantee you that none of those moments involved getting 100 likes on a photo. They probably involved helping a friend, passing a difficult test after studying for weeks, or finally standing up for yourself. Reconnect with what actually matters. When you realize that real value is built through character and not through public approval, you become invincible. No one can take your character away from you. One of the clearest signs of low internal value is the inability to accept a compliment. Notice how you react when someone says you did a great job. Do you immediately say, "Oh, it was nothing, I just got lucky"? Do you point out a flaw in your work to downplay their praise? Every time you reject a compliment, you are actively training your brain to believe you are worthless. You are also insulting the person who gave you the compliment by telling them their judgment is wrong. This must stop today. Actionable step. From this moment forward, when someone gives you a compliment, you are only allowed to say 2 words. Thank you. That is it. Do not elaborate. Do not make excuses. Do not downplay your effort. Just look them in the eye, smile and say thank you. Let the positive words actually enter your mind. Let them sit there. It will feel incredibly uncomfortable at first. You will feel an intense urge to deflect the praise. Resist that urge. Over time, accepting praise will rewrite your internal code. You will start to believe the good things people see in you. Finding your hidden value is easiest when things are going well. But what happens when everything falls apart? What happens when you get fired, when a relationship ends, or when a business goes bankrupt? This is when your self-belief is tested the most. A failure is an event, it is not a person. You can fail 100 times and still not be a failure. Thomas Edison found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb before he found the one way that worked. He did not view those 10,000 attempts as massive defeats. He viewed them as necessary data. Actionable step. When you experience a massive setback, conduct an emotionless review. Sit down with a notebook and ask yourself 3 questions. What exactly went wrong? What part of this was my fault? What can I do differently next time to ensure this never happens again? When you turn failure into a lesson, it loses its power to hurt you. It simply becomes part of your training. You must understand that resilience is the most valuable trait a human being can possess. If you have survived a massive failure and you are still here, trying to get better, you have immense value. You have a scar that proves you are stronger than the things that tried to break you. We are going to make this extremely practical. I want you to create a personal inventory log. You can do this in a physical notebook or on a document on your phone. This log is going to become your shield against self-doubt. Every single day, before you go to sleep, you must write down 3 things you did well that day. They do not need to be massive achievements. In fact, they should be small. Write down things like, I drank plenty of water today. I held the door open for a stranger. I finished a project at work on time. I did not lose my temper in traffic. Why are we doing this? Because building self-belief is like building a brick wall. You do not build a wall by trying to lay one giant perfect wall in an afternoon. You lay one brick as perfectly as you can. Then you lay another brick, then another. These daily entries in your inventory log are your bricks. On days when you feel worthless, and those days will come, you are going to open this log. You are going to read hundreds of small examples of your competence, your kindness, and your discipline. It is impossible to argue with written proof. This log will become the foundation of your unshakable confidence. Most people are consumers of value. They wait for other people to entertain them. They wait for their boss to tell them what to do. They wait for their partner to make them happy. If you want to recognize your own worth, you must switch from being a consumer to being a producer. A producer creates value out of nothing. You can do this in any area of your life. Actionable step. Look around your current environment and find one problem you can solve without being asked. If you are at work and you notice the supply closet is a mess, take 10 minutes and organize it. Do not ask for permission. Do not ask for praise. Just do it. If you are at home and the kitchen is dirty, clean it. When you take initiative and improve your environment voluntarily, you send a powerful message to your own brain. You tell yourself, I am a capable person who makes things better. This builds a deep, quiet sense of pride. The more you produce value in the real world, the less you will question your own worth. You will stop wondering if you are good enough because you will be too busy being useful. We are reaching the core of this chapter. The ultimate goal of finding your hidden value is not to become arrogant. It is not to walk into a room and demand that everyone look at you. The ultimate goal is peace. It is the silent, unshakable knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. When you truly know your own value, you stop trying to convince other people to like you. You stop laughing at jokes that are not funny. You stop staying in relationships where you are not respected. You stop begging for opportunities from people who do not see your worth. You become incredibly powerful because you are no longer dependent on external validation. You validate yourself. This is the foundation of selling yourself to the world. You cannot convince an employer to hire you, or a client to buy from you, or a person to date you if you are desperate for their approval. Desperation is repellent, confidence is magnetic, and confidence only comes from doing the hard, quiet work of recognizing your own hidden value. Your mind and your body are deeply connected. We usually think that our mind controls our body. We think that when we feel confident, we stand up straight. But science has proven that the reverse is also true. Your body controls your mind. How you sit, how you walk, and how you breathe actively sends signals to your brain about how you should feel. Actionable step. Right now, as you are listening to this, pay attention to your posture. Are your shoulders hunched forward? Is your chest collapsed? Are you looking down? If you are literally telling your nervous system that you are defeated and submissive. Change it right now. Pull your shoulders back. Lift your chin up slightly. Take a deep breath in through your nose, expanding your stomach, and let it out slowly. Do you feel the difference? This simple physical shift lowers cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and it increases testosterone, which is associated with confidence and risk tolerance. You can physically force your brain into a state of confidence. Whenever you are about to walk into a high-pressure situation, a meeting, an interview, or a social event, take 2 minutes to stand in a powerful, open posture. It is a biological hack to access your hidden value when you need it most. You will never be able to fully recognize your present value if you are constantly punishing yourself for your past mistakes. Everyone has things they regret. Everyone has said things they wish they could take back, or made decisions that cost them dearly. But you must realize that the person who made those mistakes is not the person you are today. The person who made those mistakes was operating with less information, less experience, and less emotional maturity than you have right now. You are judging a past version of yourself using the wisdom you gained from their mistakes. It is deeply unfair. Actionable step. You need to formally forgive yourself. Write a letter to your past self. Be entirely honest about the mistakes that were made, but then offer complete forgiveness. Tell that past version of yourself that you understand they were doing the best they could at the time. Thank them for surviving so that you could be here today. Then, physically destroy the letter. Tear it into tiny pieces or burn it safely. This physical act of destruction is incredibly symbolic for your subconscious mind. It signals that the debt has been paid and the guilt is gone. You cannot build a brilliant future if you are constantly dragging the dead weight of your past behind you. Drop the weight. You have suffered enough. It is time to move forward. The stories you tell yourself about who you are determine the life you will live. Your brain is a story-making machine. If you constantly tell yourself the story that you are unlucky, that you are a victim of circumstance, and that nothing ever works out for you, your brain will subconsciously look for ways to make that story come true. It will make you act in ways that sabotage your own success just to prove your story right. You must become the author of a new story. You must redefine your narrative. Actionable step. Take a hard look at the labels you have accepted. Have you labeled yourself as awkward or lazy or uncreative? Where did those labels come from? Usually they come from one stray comment made by a teacher, a parent, or a peer 10 years ago, and you just blindly accepted it as fact. Reject those labels immediately. Replace them with empowering truths. Instead of saying, "I am terrible at public speaking," say, "I am currently developing my communication skills." The words you use matter. They literally shape your reality. When you change your narrative from a story of defeat to a story of growth, your entire self-worth transforms. You begin to see your challenges not as proof of your incompetence, but as necessary hurdles in your hero journey. Recognizing your hidden value requires a safe space to grow. If you plant a beautiful seed in toxic soil, it will never grow, no matter how much potential the seed has. The same is true for human beings. You can do all the mental work in the world, you can repeat affirmations, and you can keep an inventory log. But if you spend every day surrounded by people who constantly criticize you, belittle you, or drain your energy, your self-worth will slowly bleed out. Actionable step. You must conduct a ruthless audit of your social circle. Who are the people who leave you feeling exhausted after you speak to them? Who are the people who only call you when they need something, but are never there when you need them? Who are the people who subtly mock your ambitions? You must create distance between yourself and these individuals. It is not about being cruel, it is about self-preservation. You have a moral obligation to protect your own potential. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your wins, who challenge you to be better, and who speak life into your dreams. When you are in an environment that naturally reinforces your value, maintaining your confidence becomes effortless. Self-respect is not a feeling, it is a set of actions. You prove your value to yourself by the way you treat yourself on a daily basis. If you constantly break the promises you make to yourself, you will lose your self-respect. If you tell yourself you are going to wake up at 6 in the morning to work out, and then you hit the snooze button until 8, you have just lied to yourself. When you lie to yourself repeatedly, you stop trusting yourself, and when you do not trust yourself, you cannot possibly believe in your own hidden value. Actionable step. Start making very small promises to yourself and keep them at all costs. Promise yourself you will drink 1 glass of water right when you wake up. Then do it. Promise yourself you will read 10 pages of a book before bed. Then do it. It does not matter how small the promise is. What matters is the unbroken streak of keeping your word to yourself. This builds a foundation of immense internal trust. When you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are a person who does exactly what they say they are going to do, you become incredibly dangerous to your obstacles. Your confidence will skyrocket because it is based on undeniable proof of your own reliability. Let us address a major roadblock that stops many good people from owning their value. It is the misunderstanding of humility. Many cultures teach that humility means making yourself small, never talking about your accomplishments and deflecting praise. This is a tragic misinterpretation. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. There is a massive difference. When you constantly put yourself down, you are actually being deeply self-centered because you are entirely focused on your own perceived flaws. True humility means you know exactly how valuable you are, you know exactly what your strengths are, but you use those strengths to serve others rather than to inflate your own ego. Actionable step. The next time you achieve something great, do not hide it. Share it. But share it with a spirit of gratitude. Instead of saying, "Look how amazing I am," say, "I am incredibly grateful that my hard work paid off, and I am excited to use what I have learned to help the team." This allows you to stand in your full power without triggering resentment in others. You are acknowledging your value while remaining connected to the people around you. While mindset is crucial, we cannot ignore the role of actual physical competence. You cannot trick yourself into believing you have value if you refuse to do the work required to build skills. Confidence without competence is just delusion. If you want to feel deeply valuable, you must dedicate yourself to becoming incredibly good at something. It does not matter what that something is. It could be writing code, painting landscapes, repairing engines, or managing finances. The pursuit of mastery builds unshakable internal worth. When you spend hours practicing a craft, failing, adjusting, and slowly improving, you prove to yourself that you are capable of growth. Actionable step. Pick one specific skill that you want to master. Commit just 20 minutes a day to practicing it, not reading about it, not watching videos about it, but actively practicing it. As you watch yourself go from terrible to mediocre, and from mediocre to good, your belief in your own general capability will explode. You will realize that if you can conquer this one skill, you can conquer anything you set your mind to. Your hidden value is not just what you are currently capable of. It is your infinite capacity to learn. As you begin to realize your own worth, you will encounter resistance. People who are used to you being small and unsure of yourself will feel uncomfortable when you start standing tall. They might call you arrogant. They might try to bring you down a peg. You must understand that their reaction has absolutely nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of their own insecurities. When you shine a light on your own value, it forces other people to look at the areas where they are hiding theirs. Some people will be inspired by you. Others will be intimidated. Actionable step: develop an emotional shield. When someone criticizes your newfound confidence, silently repeat to yourself, "Their opinion of me is none of my business." You are not responsible for managing other people's insecurities. You are only responsible for living up to your own potential. Do not dim your light just because it hurts someone else's eyes. Let them wear sunglasses. Keep walking your path. The people who truly belong in your life will applaud your growth, not sabotage it. Finally, I want you to think about the long-term impact of the work you are doing today. Uncovering your hidden value is not just about getting a better job or feeling better about yourself. It is about the legacy you will leave behind. When you walk through the world knowing your own worth, you give everyone around you unconscious permission to do the same. Think about the people looking up to you, your younger siblings, your children, your junior colleagues. They are watching how you treat yourself. If they see you constantly doubting yourself and playing small, they will learn that they should do the same. But if they see you standing strong, owning your mistakes, celebrating your wins, and contributing your unique gifts to the world, you will change the trajectory of their lives. Your courage is contagious. By doing the hard work of finding your own hidden value, you become a beacon of hope for others who are still lost in the dark. This is the ultimate purpose of self-help. It is not just about helping yourself. It is about becoming so full of light, so anchored in your own worth, that you naturally elevate every single person who crosses your path. You are a force of nature. It is time to start acting like it. You have been given the tools, the psychology, and the actionable steps to uncover your hidden value. But none of this matters if you keep it locked inside a dark room. You must take the final step of actually exposing your value to the world. You must be willing to be seen. Being seen is terrifying. It means you might be judged. It means you might be misunderstood. But hiding is a much worse fate. Hiding guarantees that you will never reach your potential. You were not put on this earth to shrink down and make other people comfortable. You have a unique set of skills, experiences, and perspectives that someone out there desperately needs. If you do not step into the light and show the world what you are capable of, you are robbing those people of the value you could provide. Actionable step. Today I want you to take one small action that exposes your value to the world. Speak up in a meeting at work and share your opinion. Compliment a stranger. Offer to help someone with a problem you know how to solve. Do not wait until you feel perfectly ready. You will never feel perfectly ready. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Confidence is taking action despite the fear. You have incredible, immense, hidden value. It is time to stop hiding it. It is time to let the world see exactly who you are and what you can do. Chapter 2. The Art of Your Story. You have learned how to find your internal value. You have learned how to look in the mirror and recognize the skills and the resilience that you have built over your lifetime. But having value and communicating that value are two entirely different things. You can have the cure for a massive problem, but if you cannot explain it to anyone, your cure is useless. This chapter is about translation. It is about taking the invisible value inside of you and turning it into something that other people can see, feel, and understand. The greatest tool you have for this translation is not a resume. It is not a list of your degrees. It is not a bulleted list of your previous jobs. The greatest tool you have is your story. People do not buy a list of skills. They buy a story. They buy a journey. They buy the human being behind the skills. If you want to master the art of selling yourself, you must master the art of telling your own story. Let us look at the science of why this is true. A famous study conducted at Stanford University revealed something incredible about the human brain. The researchers asked students to give a 1-minute speech. Some students used pure facts and statistics. Other students told a story that contained a lesson. After the speeches were over, the researchers waited a few minutes and then asked the audience what they remembered. Only 5% of the audience could remember a single statistic, but 63% of the audience remembered the stories perfectly. The researchers concluded that people remember information up to 22 times better when it is wrapped in a narrative. Think about the magnitude of that number, 22 times better. If you go into a job interview and you just list your qualifications, the interviewer will forget who you are the moment you walk out the door. But if you tell them a compelling story about how you acquired those qualifications, they will remember you for weeks. Your story is the anchor that keeps you in their mind. Why does the brain react this way to stories? It goes back to human evolution. Long before we had written language, long before we had books or the internet, how did human beings pass down survival information? They sat around a fire and told stories. They told stories about which plants were poisonous. They told stories about how to hunt dangerous animals. Our brains evolved to pay extreme attention to narratives because narratives contained the secrets to staying alive. When you hear a list of facts, only the language processing parts of your brain light up. But when you hear a story, your entire brain lights up. If someone tells a story about running through a dark forest, the motor cortex in your brain, the part that controls physical movement, actually activates. If they describe the smell of bitter coffee, your sensory cortex lights up. The listener is literally experiencing the story with you. This is called neural coupling. When you tell a great story, your brain and the listener brain synchronize. You are no longer two strangers. You are sharing the exact same mental experience. This is the ultimate form of connection, and connection is the foundation of selling yourself. The problem is that most people introduce themselves in the most boring way possible. We have been trained to use labels. When you ask someone who they are, they usually respond with a job title. They say, "I am an accountant," or they say, "I am a software engineer," or they say, "I am a student." These labels are completely empty. They tell the listener absolutely nothing about who you actually are. There are millions of accountants in the world. Saying you are an accountant does not separate you from any of them. It does not explain your work ethic. It does not explain your integrity. It does not explain how you handle pressure. A label is just a box that you put yourself inside so that other people do not have to think very hard about you. If you want to stand out, you must step outside of the box. You must stop introducing yourself with a title and start introducing yourself with a narrative. Let us break down the architecture of a compelling narrative. Every great story in human history, from ancient myths to modern movies, follows the exact same structure. Here it is called the hero journey. You do not need to be a legendary warrior to use this structure. You just need to be a human being who has faced a problem and overcome it. The hero journey consists of 3 main parts. First, there is the ordinary world. This is where you started. Second, there is the struggle. This is the obstacle that disrupted your world. Third, there is the transformation. This is how you changed to overcome the obstacle and what you learned from it. This simple 3-part structure is the secret to making people care about you. It works because it mirrors the natural rhythm of human growth. We all start somewhere, we all face difficulties, and we all have to adapt to survive. When you structure your introduction this way, you instantly become relatable to everyone who hears it. Let us look at the first part, the ordinary world. When you tell your story, you must establish a baseline. You have to tell people where you came from so they can appreciate how far you have traveled. If you just talk about your success, you sound arrogant. People cannot connect with perfection. They connect with humble beginnings. Your ordinary world could be the small town you grew up in. It could be a dead-end job you used to have. It could be a time in your life when you were deeply confused about your future. You do not need to spend a lot of time here, but you must paint a quick picture of your starting line. This creates a contrast. A bright light is only impressive if it shines in the dark. Your current value is only impressive if people understand the circumstances you had to climb out of to get here. Actionable step. Take a piece of paper and write down the defining starting point of your professional or personal life. Where were you mentally and physically before you discovered your current passion or career? Write it down in 3 simple sentences. This is the opening scene of your story. The second part of the narrative architecture is the most important. It is the struggle. This is where most people completely fail when trying to sell themselves. People are terrified of talking about their struggles. They think that if they admit they had a hard time, or if they admit they failed, other people will view them as weak. They want to present a flawless history of constant winning. But a story without a struggle is not a story. It is just a brag. And nobody likes a braggart. Think about your favorite movie. If the main character is perfect, has no problems, faces no danger, and achieves all their goals in the first 5 minutes, you would turn the movie off. It is incredibly boring. Human beings are deeply drawn to conflict. We want to know what happens when things go wrong. We want to see how you handle pressure. Your struggle is the proof of your character. It is the evidence that you are actually strong. Strength cannot exist without resistance. We must talk about the power of vulnerability. There is a psychological concept known as the pratfall effect. A researcher named Elliot Aronson conducted an experiment where people listened to audio recordings of individuals answering trivia questions. One individual answered every question perfectly. Another individual answered the questions perfectly, but at the end of the recording, they clumsily spilled a cup of coffee on themselves and apologized for being clumsy. The researcher then asked the audience to rate how much they liked the individuals. Overwhelmingly, the audience preferred the person who spilled the coffee. Why? Because the person who was entirely perfect was intimidating. They did not seem real. The person who made a small mistake was suddenly humanized. Their small failure made them approachable and trustworthy. This is the pratfall effect. When you show a small vulnerability, when you admit a past struggle or a mistake, you do not look weak. You look authentic. And in a world full of people trying to fake perfection, authenticity is incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. It makes people lower their defensive walls and actually listen to you. How do you talk about your failures without sounding incompetent? There is a very specific technique for this. You must transition from a victim narrative to a survivor narrative. A victim complains about the obstacle. A survivor explains the obstacle and then focuses entirely on the lesson it taught them. Let us say you started a small business and it went bankrupt. A victim narrative sounds like this. I started a business, but the economy was terrible, and my business partner was lazy, and the government taxed me too much, so I lost everything. This story makes you sound bitter and entirely focused on making excuses. Nobody wants to hire or befriend a victim. A survivor narrative about the exact same event sounds like this. I started a business a few years ago, and it completely failed. I lost a lot of money. But going through that bankruptcy taught me more about financial risk management than any textbook ever could. I learned exactly how to spot a failing strategy early, and I developed a level of personal resilience that I use every single day. Do you see the massive difference? You admitted a massive failure, but you framed it as the tuition you paid to learn a highly valuable skill. You are not selling the failure. You are selling the wisdom you extracted from the failure. Actionable step. You need to prepare your failure story right now. Every interviewer, every potential business partner, and every smart person you meet will eventually want to know how you handle adversity. Write down the biggest professional or personal mistake you have ever made. Do not sugarcoat it. Then, write down exactly what that mistake taught you. Finally, write down how you use that lesson today to make better decisions. You must practice saying this out loud until all the shame and embarrassment are gone from your voice. When you can speak about your worst mistakes with complete calm and a slight smile, you become an incredibly intimidating force. You signal to the world that you are completely unshakable. You signal that no matter what happens, you will find a way to learn and adapt. This is the ultimate selling point. The third part of your narrative is the transformation. This is the resolution of the struggle. This is where you explain who you are today because of the journey you went on. You are connecting the ordinary world, the struggle, and the present moment into one straight line. This is where you clearly state your current value. You must explain how your unique journey makes you the perfect person for the opportunity in front of you. If you are applying for a job in customer service, your transformation story might end like this. Because I spent 3 years dealing with massive supply chain failures and angry clients, I completely lost my fear of conflict. Today, I am the person who can step in when a customer is furious, stay completely calm, and turn a terrible situation into a loyal client relationship. You are showing them that your past was just a training ground for their present needs. You are making your history relevant to their future. Now that we understand the structure, we must condense it. You do not always have 30 minutes to tell your life story. In fact, you rarely have more than a minute. You must master the 60-second elevator pitch. The concept of the elevator pitch is simple. Imagine you step into an elevator with the person who has the power to change your life. You have exactly the amount of time it takes to ride to the top floor to convince them that you are worth their time. Most people ruin the elevator pitch by trying to talk as fast as possible to cram in as many facts as they can. This just sounds like noise. A great elevator pitch is not rushed. It is meticulously edited. It contains only the most potent parts of your narrative architecture. Let us build your 60-second pitch step by step. We will divide it into 4 sections. The first 15 seconds is the hook. The next 20 seconds is the struggle. The next 15 seconds is the transformation. The final 10 seconds is the invitation. Let us break down the hook. The hook is how you grab their attention. You must say something slightly unexpected. Do not start with your name and your job title. Start with a belief or a statement of purpose. Instead of saying, "Hi, I am John and I am a fitness coach." You should say, "I believe that physical weakness is the root cause of mental anxiety, and my name is John, and I spend my life fixing both." Boom. You have their attention. You made a bold statement. You showed passion. They immediately want to know more. Actionable step. Write 3 different hooks for your own life. What is the core belief that drives your work? What is the fundamental problem you are trying to solve? Start your pitch with that philosophy. It shows that you are a person of depth and conviction. The next 20 seconds is the struggle. This is where you introduce the conflict to make the story human. You quickly explain how you arrived at your core belief. Continuing with the fitness coach example, the struggle sounds like this. 10 years ago, I was 60 pounds overweight, deeply depressed, and I could barely walk up a flight of stairs without losing my breath. I realized that my body was becoming a prison, and I spent the next 3 years exhaustingly researching nutrition and biomechanics to break myself out of it. In 20 seconds, you have established massive credibility. You are not just a coach who read a book. You are a coach who lived the nightmare and escaped. You have given them a reason to trust you. When you build your struggle section, focus on the emotion of the obstacle. Use words that convey difficulty, words like exhausted, frustrated, terrified, or overwhelmed. Let them feel the weight of what you went through. The next 15 seconds is the transformation. This is where you pivot from the past to the present. You explain how the struggle created the value you offer today. The fitness coach says, "Through that brutal process, I developed a system that ignores extreme diets and focuses purely on sustainable daily habits. Today, I use that exact system to help busy executives lose weight without sacrificing their careers." This is where you explicitly state your benefit. You explain exactly who you help and how you help them. Notice how the focus shifts from you to the listener. The first half of the pitch was about your journey. The second half is about how your journey serves others. This is the secret to selling yourself. You must eventually make your story about the people you are talking to. Your history is just the proof that you can solve their problems. The final 10 seconds is the invitation. This is the most forgotten part of the pitch. You have told a great story, you have demonstrated value, and now you must tell them what to do next. Do not just let the pitch hang in the air awkwardly. Give them a clear, low-pressure invitation to continue the conversation. The fitness coach ends with this. "I'm always looking to connect with people who are ready to optimize their energy. What is the biggest physical challenge you are facing right now?" Notice that the invitation ends with a question. This is crucial. When you end with a statement, the conversation stops. When you end with a question, you pass the ball to them. You invite them to step into the story with you. Actionable step. Take the 4 sections: the hook, the struggle, the transformation, and the invitation. Write out your 60-second pitch right now. Read it aloud. Time yourself. Edit out every single word that does not absolutely need to be there. Practice this pitch in the shower. Practice it while driving. Practice it until it flows out of your mouth as naturally as your own breathing. You never know when the elevator doors will open. You must always be ready. Telling your story is not a rigid performance. You cannot memorize one version of your story and repeat it like a robot to every single person you meet. You must become a master of tailoring your narrative to your audience. The story you tell a potential boss is different from the story you tell a person you are trying to date. The core facts remain exactly the same. You never lie, you never invent history, but you emphasize different parts of the architecture based on what the listener values. This is called reading the room. If you are speaking to an analytical, data-driven manager, you emphasize the logical problem-solving parts of your struggle. You talk about how you analyzed the failure and engineered a solution. If you are speaking to a highly creative, emotional director, you emphasize the passion and the human element of your struggle. You talk about how the failure felt and how it inspired you to think outside the boundaries. How do you know what your audience values? You must become intensely observant. Before you launch into your story, you must gather data about the person in front of you. Look at their office. Are there family photos everywhere? If yes, they value relationships and loyalty. Emphasize those traits in your story. Are there awards and aggressive sales charts on the wall? If yes, they value competition and victory. Emphasize your drive and your ability to hit targets. Pay attention to the words they use. If they constantly use words like process, structure, and efficiency, you must weave those words into your own narrative. People naturally trust people who sound like them. When you align your vocabulary with theirs, you subconsciously signal that you belong in their tribe. Actionable step. Before you go into your next important meeting, write down 3 traits you believe the other person is looking for. Then specifically select the parts of your past that perfectly illustrate those 3 traits. You are curating your history to match their immediate needs. We must dive deeper into the mechanics of emotional resonance. How do you make people actually feel your story? The secret lies in sensory language. Most people tell stories using abstract concepts. They say things like, I worked really hard, or the project was very difficult, or I felt sad. These words are weak. They do not trigger the sensory cortex in the listener brain. You must replace abstract words with physical sensory details. Instead of saying you worked hard, say, I stared at my computer screen until my eyes burned and the sun came up. Instead of saying the project was difficult, say, every time we fixed one piece of code, 3 more pieces shattered like glass. Instead of saying you felt sad, say my stomach dropped to the floor and I could not catch my breath. These physical descriptions force the listener to visualize the situation. They create a movie playing in the mind of the audience. The more vividly they can see your story, the more deeply they will connect with your value. Let us explore the danger of rambling. This is the killer of all great stories. You have a captive audience. You start telling your journey and suddenly you remember a random detail about your old co-worker. And then you start talking about the weather that day. And before you know it, you have been talking for 5 minutes and the listener has completely checked out. You must be ruthless in editing your spoken words. A story is only powerful if it moves forward. Every single sentence must serve a purpose. It must either build the conflict or advance the resolution. If a detail does not do one of those 2 things, you must cut it out entirely. This requires immense discipline. We love our own memories. We think every part of our past is fascinating. It is not. The audience only cares about the parts of your past that are relevant to the point you are trying to make. Actionable step. Record yourself telling your story on your phone. Listen back to the recording. Every time you find yourself getting bored or going off on a tangent, make a note of it. Then, tell the story again, specifically cutting out those dead zones. Keep refining it until it is a lean, aggressive arrow of communication. There is a massive fear that holds people back from telling their stories. It is the fear of boring people. You might think, my life is not a movie. I have never climbed a mountain or saved a life. My story is just normal, and nobody will care. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of human connection. People do not connect with spectacular, impossible events. They connect with universal human emotions. You do not need an extraordinary event to tell an extraordinary story. You just need to accurately describe the ordinary struggles that everyone faces. A story about how you learn to manage your time better while raising a toddler can be just as gripping as a story about climbing Mount Everest if you focus on the emotional reality of the exhaustion, the love, and the determination. The mundane details of life are highly relatable. The baker who wakes up at 3 in the morning every day for 10 years has a profound story about discipline. The accountant who hunts down a missing $100 for 3 days has a profound story about integrity. Your life is absolutely full of gold. You just have to be willing to dig it up and polish it. Let us look at 3 case studies of normal people transforming boring facts into powerful stories. These are hypothetical examples to show you exactly how this process works. Case Study 1. The Career Changer. Imagine a woman who was a school teacher for 8 years and now wants to get a job in corporate project management. Her resume looks terrible to a corporate recruiter. It just says she taught children. The boring pitch is, I was a teacher, but I want a change of pace and I am highly organized. The recruiter immediately throws her resume in the trash. Now let us apply the story architecture. The hook. I have spent the last 8 years managing the most unpredictable, chaotic work environments on Earth. A room full of 38-year-olds. The struggle. When I first started, I had no resources, constant interruptions and daily crises. I realized that if I did not build airtight systems, I would fail. The transformation. I developed a project management framework that turned 30 chaotic children into a unified, high-functioning team that hit every single state testing metric. Today, I want to bring that exact same chaos management and team-building expertise to your corporate projects, where the stakes are high, but the people are at least fully grown. The invitation. What is the most chaotic project your team is dealing with right now? This pitch is brilliant. She did not hide her past, she weaponized it. She proved that being a teacher is the ultimate form of project management. Case Study 2. The person with a massive gap in their resume. Imagine a man who did not work for 3 years because he had to stay home and take care of a sick parent. The boring pitch is, I have a 3-year gap because of family medical reasons, but I am ready to work again. This makes the employer nervous. They wonder if he has lost his edge. Let us apply the story architecture. The hook. The last 3 years taught me more about crisis management and extreme pressure than my entire decade in the corporate world. The struggle. My father fell severely ill, and I had to step away from my career to become his full-time caretaker. It was a 24-hour-a-day job, dealing with complex medical schedules, insurance bureaucracies, and life-or-death decision-making while functioning on 0 sleep. The transformation. Surviving that period rebuilt my entire stress tolerance. The small daily emergencies of a normal business no longer faze me. I am returning to the workforce with a level of clarity, focus, and unshakable calm that I never possessed before. The invitation. I'm looking for a team that values resilience. What is the most challenging? Take 10 minutes tonight and think about the 3 worst days of your professional life. Just write down a few words about what happened. Do not worry about making it sound good yet. Just get the raw data out of your head. Once you have the worst days identified, look at what you did the day after. How did you fix the mess? How did you survive? The gap between the worst day and the day you recovered is where your hidden value lives. That gap is the story you need to tell. We must also talk about the ethics of storytelling. When you learn these techniques, when you learn how to trigger emotions and structure narratives, you acquire a tremendous amount of psychological power over other people. You can make people believe in you. You must use this power ethically. There is a massive difference between enhancing the truth and fabricating the truth. Enhancing the truth means you leave out boring details, you focus on the emotional core, and you structure the events so they make a clear point. This is completely fine. This is just good communication. Fabricating the truth means you invent events that never happened, you claim credit for work you never did, or you pretend a failure was someone else's fault. This is disastrous. If you build your value on a foundation of lies, it will eventually collapse. The world is incredibly small. People talk. Backgrounds are checked. If you are caught lying in your story, your reputation will be permanently destroyed. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Never invent the struggle. Your real struggles, no matter how small they seem to you, are more than enough to prove your worth. The authenticity of a real struggle resonates much deeper than the perfection of a fake one. Another crucial element of the art of your story is the concept of the open loop. This is a technique used by television writers to keep you watching episode after episode. An open loop is when you start a story, introduce a compelling mystery or a massive problem, and then delay the resolution. You keep the audience hanging. You can use a micro version of this when selling yourself. When someone asks you how you solved a massive problem, do not immediately give them the answer. Start by explaining how impossible the problem was. Explain the 3 things you tried that completely failed. Make them wonder how you could possibly survive the situation. Build the tension. When you hold back the resolution, the listener leans in. They become desperate to know the answer. When you finally deliver the transformation, it hits them with maximum impact. Actionable step. Practice adding tension to your stories. Next time you tell a friend about a problem you solved, spend an extra 30 seconds explaining exactly why the problem was so devastating before you reveal your brilliant solution. Watch their body language. You will see them physically lean toward you. The greatest storytellers in the world share one completely unexpected habit. They are the greatest listeners in the world. You cannot become a master of your own story if you do not study the stories of others. When you listen deeply to other people, you learn what moves them. You learn the pacing of natural human speech. You notice when they get excited and when they lose interest. You also give them the profound gift of being heard. When you listen intensely to someone else's story, they naturally want to listen to yours. It builds immediate reciprocity. Actionable step. For the next 3 days, completely stop trying to talk about yourself. When you have a conversation, make your only goal to extract a fascinating story from the other person. Ask them how they got into their line of work. Ask them what the hardest part of their year was. Just listen. Notice how they structure their pain and their triumphs. You will learn more about human psychology and effective communication in 3 days of intense listening than in 3 years of reading textbooks. We must prepare for the reality of interruptions. You will rarely get to deliver your perfect 60-second pitch without someone jumping in. People have short attention spans. They will interrupt you to ask a question, to share their own experience, or to challenge a detail. Many people panic when this happens. They lose their train of thought, and the story collapses. You must view an interruption not as a threat, a disruption, but as a massive signal of interest. If they interrupt you, it means they are actually listening. It means they are engaged. When someone interrupts your story, do not rush to drag them back to your script. Stop. Answer their question fully. Validate their comment. Let the conversation drift for a moment. Then use a bridging phrase to seamlessly pull the narrative back to your architecture. A bridging phrase sounds like this: "That is exactly right, and that leads directly to what I realized next." Or you can say, "You hit the nail on the head, which is why the next phase was so difficult." Actionable step. Practice the bridging technique. Have a friend listen to your pitch and instruct them to interrupt you randomly with a question. Practice answering the question calmly and smoothly, transitioning right back into the struggle or the transformation. This makes you look incredibly polished and totally in control of the room. The final piece of your storytelling mastery is understanding the power of the pause. Novice storytellers are terrified of silence. They think that if they stop talking for even 1 second, the audience will leave. So they fill every gap with words like ah, or like. This destroys your authority. Silence is not empty. Silence is heavy. Silence is where the listener processes the massive point you just made. When you deliver the most important line of your story, when you state your core transformation or your ultimate lesson, you must stop talking. Close your mouth. Look them directly in the eyes. Let the silence stretch for 2 full seconds. It will feel like an eternity to you. It will feel incredibly powerful to them. The pause signals supreme confidence. It shows that you do not need to rush. It shows that you believe your words are important enough to echo in the room. Actionable step. Take your written elevator pitch and draw a massive circle around the most important sentence. the sentence that defines your value. When you practice the pitch out loud, force yourself to physically count to 2 in your head immediately after saying that sentence. Do not breathe a single word until you hit 2. Master the pause, and you master the rhythm of persuasion. Your story is the bridge between your hidden value and the external world. You are entirely in control of how this bridge is built. You get to decide which bricks to use. You get to decide whether you are the victim of a chaotic universe or the hero of an incredible journey of adaptation. When you take the time to map out your ordinary world, embrace the brutal reality of your struggles, and clearly articulate the powerful transformation you underwent, you become undeniable. You stop being a generic list of skills, and you become a living, breathing force of nature. People do not follow resumes. They follow human beings who have walked through the fire and learned how to control the flames. Take your past, take your failures, take your darkest days, polish them until they shine, structure them until they strike like a hammer, and then step out into the world and tell them exactly who you are. The world is desperate for authenticity. Give it to them. Now, as we finish this chapter, I want you to remember that your story is never truly finished. You are writing the next chapter of your life right now, today, with every decision you make. If you do not like the story you have to tell right now, you have the absolute power to change the narrative tomorrow. Start taking on harder challenges. Start facing your fears. Start accumulating the struggles that will eventually become the triumphant stories of your future. You are the author. Pick up the pen and write something magnificent. We will continue this journey in the next chapter, where we will completely abandon the words you speak and focus entirely on the massive, silent signals you are constantly sending to the world. Get ready to master the unseen forces of human connection. Keep riding the wave. Chapter 3. The Silent Pitch. You have learned how to find your value inside yourself. You have learned how to turn that value into a compelling story that captures the human imagination. Now we arrive at the most dangerous and powerful part of selling yourself. This is the part that happens before you speak a single word. This is the part that happens the moment you walk into a room. This is the silent pitch. You are constantly broadcasting a signal to the world. Your posture, your eyes, your hands, and the way you breathe are screaming information to the people around you. Human beings are social animals. We evolved to read these signals instantly. Before language existed, our ancestors had to know within a split second if a stranger was a friend or a threat. They did not wait for a handshake. They looked at the body. Today we still have that ancient software running in our brains. Research suggests that when you meet someone new, their brain makes a decision about you within 7 seconds. 7 seconds. You cannot tell your life story in 7 seconds. You cannot list your skills in 7 seconds. The only thing you can do in 7 seconds is project a physical presence that demands respect and inspires trust. Let us look at the famous research by Professor Albert Mehrabian. He studied human communication and broke it down into 3 components: the words you say, the tone of your voice, and your body language. His findings shook the world of psychology. He found that words account for only 7% of the message, the tone of voice accounts for 38%, and body language accounts for 55%. Think about that. You spend hours perfecting your resume. You spend hours rehearsing your script. But those words are only 7% of the game. If your body is saying, "I am scared, I am weak, and I do not belong here," it does not matter how brilliant your words are. Nobody will believe them. Your body is the loudspeaker. If the loudspeaker is broken, the music does not matter. This chapter is about fixing the loudspeaker. It is about aligning your physical reality with your internal value so that when you walk into a room, people feel your presence before you even introduce yourself. We must start with the biology of confidence. Most people think that confidence is just a feeling in your head. This is wrong. Confidence is a chemical state in your blood. There are 2 main chemicals we need to talk about: testosterone and cortisol. Testosterone is the dominance hormone. It makes you feel assertive, focused, and willing to take risks. Cortisol is the stress hormone. It makes you feel anxious, reactive, and wanting to hide. High-power leaders usually have high testosterone and low cortisol. But here is the incredible fact. You can change these chemical levels just by changing how you stand. A famous study on power posing showed that if you stand in a high power pose for just 2 minutes, your testosterone levels can go up by 20% and your cortisol levels can drop by 25%. A high power pose is open. Your chest is out. Your arms are away from your body. You are taking up space. A low power pose is closed. You are hunched over. Your legs are crossed. Your arms are folded. You are making yourself small. This means you can hack your own brain. If you are feeling nervous before a big event, do not try to think your way out of it. You cannot think your way out of a chemical reaction. You have to move your way out of it. Actionable step. Before your next high-pressure situation, go to a private place like a bathroom stall or a stairwell. Stand with your feet wide apart. Put your hands on your hips like a superhero. Lift your chin up. Hold this position for 2 minutes. Breathe deeply. You are literally engaging the biology of a winner. When you walk back out, you will feel different. You will not just look confident, you will be confident. This is the first rule of the silent pitch. Change your body, and your mind will follow. Now let us talk about the eyes. The eyes are the primary tool of human connection. When you refuse to make eye contact, you are sending a very specific signal. In the animal kingdom, looking away is a sign of submission. It means I am not a threat to you, please do not hurt me. When you look down at your shoes while talking to someone, you are telling their subconscious mind that you are beneath them. You are telling them that you do not believe in your own words. But staring is also dangerous. If you stare at someone without blinking, it is a sign of aggression. It triggers a threat response. You must find the balance. You want to engage in what psychologists call active gazing. How do you do this practically? You must follow the 50-70 rule. When you are speaking to someone, you should hold eye contact for about 50% of the time. When you are listening to someone, you should hold eye contact for about 70% of the time. This ratio creates a feeling of intense interest without being creepy. But where exactly do you look? Do not look at both eyes at the same time. That is impossible. Do not look at the forehead. That makes people feel like you are analyzing them. Look at one eye for a few seconds, then move to the other eye, then move to the mouth. Imagine a small inverted triangle on their face. The base of the triangle connects their eyes, and the point of the triangle is their mouth. Rotate your gaze around this triangle. This keeps your eyes moving so you do not stare, but it keeps your focus entirely on their face. There is a secret technique called sticky eyes. This is used by some of the most charismatic people in the world. When you finish a sentence, or when you look away to think, do not break eye contact immediately. Let your eyes linger on their face for a split second longer than feels natural. It creates a feeling of deep connection. It signals that you are reluctant to stop looking at them. It makes the other person feel incredibly important. Actionable step. In your next conversation, try the sticky eyes technique. When you have to look away to grab a drink or check your phone, delay the eye movement by 1 second. It is a tiny micro-action, but it has a massive impact on how much the other person likes you. Let us move down to the face. The smile. A smile is the universal signal of safety. But human beings are incredibly good at spotting a fake smile. A fake smile only uses the muscles around the mouth. It is polite, but it is cold. A real smile is called a Duchenne smile. A Duchenne smile engages the muscles around the eyes. It makes your eyes crinkle. It lights up the entire face. Why does this matter? Because a fake smile destroys trust. If you walk into a room grinning with your mouth but your eyes are dead, people will intuitively feel that you are hiding something. They will feel like you are a salesperson trying to trick them. You cannot fake a Duchenne smile easily. You have to actually feel an emotion. So how do you do this on command? You must use a trigger memory. Actionable step. Find one memory in your life that makes you genuinely happy. Maybe it was the day you got a puppy. Maybe it was a time you laughed so hard your stomach hurt. Keep this memory in your back pocket. Right before you walk into a room or meet a stranger, take 1 second to flash that memory across your mind. The emotion will hit your face instantly. Your eyes will crinkle. Your smile will be genuine. This tiny spark of real emotion is what people connect with. They do not connect with the shape of your mouth. They connect with the light in your eyes. We must discuss the resting face. Some people have a natural resting face that looks angry, bored, or judgmental. You might be the nicest person in the world, but if your neutral face looks like you are annoyed, people will avoid you. They will assume you are difficult to talk to. You must become aware of your neutral expression. Actionable step. Put a small mirror on your desk or look at your reflection in your phone when you are not posing. What do you see? Is your forehead furrowed? Are your lips tight? Is your jaw clenched? These are signs of tension. You need to reset your face. Relax your eyebrows. Separate your teeth slightly so your jaw hangs loose. Lift the corners of your mouth just a tiny fraction of a millimeter. You are not smiling. You are just removing the frown. This is called an open face. An open face invites people in. It signals that you are available for connection. Now let us talk about the hands. The hands are trust indicators. Throughout history, if a human could not see another human hands, they got nervous. Why? Because hands hold weapons. Hands hold rocks. Hands hold knives. If someone is hiding their hands in their pockets or behind their back or under a table, your primitive brain starts a subtle alarm. It wonders, what are they hiding? Are they going to hurt me? This happens subconsciously, but the feeling of distrust is real. If you want to sell yourself, you must show your hands. Keep them visible at all times. When you are sitting at a table, put your hands on the table. When you are standing, let them hang by your sides or use them to gesture. Do not put them in your pockets for long periods. Do not cross your arms and tuck your hands away. Using your hands while you talk is not just about being animated. It is about cognitive load. Studies show that people who use hand gestures while they speak are actually seen as more intelligent and more articulate. The gestures help you process your own thoughts. They help you find words. But you must use the right kind of gestures. Open palms are the ultimate sign of honesty. When you talk with your palms facing up or facing the listener, you are saying, "I have nothing to hide. I am giving this information to you freely." Closed palms, or pointing with a finger, are signs of dominance and aggression. If you point at someone, you are attacking them. If you talk with your palms down, you are commanding them. Use these gestures carefully. There is a specific hand position used by politicians and CEOs called the steeple. You place the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips of the other hand, forming a church steeple shape. You hold this in front of your chest. This is a high confidence gesture. It signals that you are calm, you are thinking, and you are in control. It stops you from fidgeting. Fidgeting is the killer of authority. Touching your face, playing with your hair, clicking a pen, or wringing your hands are called pacifying behaviors. We do them to soothe ourselves when we are nervous, but to the observer, they scream insecurity. If you cannot stop fidgeting, use the steeple. It locks your hands together in a power position and keeps them still. Actionable step. In your next meeting, catch yourself fidgeting. As soon as you notice your hand touching your neck or playing with a ring, stop. Drop your hands to the table, form the steeple, take a deep breath. You will instantly look 10 times more authoritative. Let us move to the torso. The way you angle your body tells people how much you value them. If you are talking to someone but your chest and your feet are pointing toward the door, you are telling them, "I want to leave. I do not care about this conversation." This is called blocking. We naturally point our torso and our feet toward the things we desire or the places we want to go. If you want to sell yourself to someone, you must front them. This means you turn your entire body to face them directly. Your heart should aim at their heart. Your feet should aim at their feet. This is a sign of total respect. It says, "You have my full attention." However, there is a nuance here. If you are a man speaking to another man, standing completely face to face, can sometimes feel aggressive. It can feel like a confrontation. In this specific case, it is often better to stand at a slight angle. This is called sidling. It reduces the tension, but if you are speaking to a woman or in a mixed group, fronting is almost always the best strategy. It creates a circle of intimacy. It blocks out the rest of the room and makes the person feel like they are the only one who matters. Now we must talk about space. Proxemics is the study of how humans use space. There are invisible bubbles around every person. The intimate zone is about 18 inches from our face. Only family and lovers are allowed here. The personal zone is about 4 feet. This is for friends and casual conversations. The social zone is further out. If you invade someone's intimate zone too early, you trigger their fight-or-flight response. They will lean back, they will cross their arms. They will stop listening to you because their brain is screaming, "Get back." You must respect the bubble, but you must not be afraid to claim your own space. Low-confidence people try to take up as little space as possible. They sit on the edge of the chair. They keep their elbows tucked into their ribs. They keep their legs glued together. They act like they are in a crowded subway car, even when the room is empty. You must do the opposite. You must claim your territory. When you sit at a conference table, put your notebook and your water bottle down. Spread your elbows slightly. Lean back in the chair. Do not be rude, but do not be invisible. When you take up space, you signal to the room that you have a right to be there. You signal that you are comfortable. Comfort is contagious. If you are comfortable, the people around you will feel comfortable. If you are tense and shrinking, the people around you will feel tense. Let us discuss the walk. How you enter a room sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people walk with no purpose. They shuffle. Their head is down, looking at their phone. They hesitate in the doorway. This is a weak entry. You want a dynamic entry. When you walk, you should walk with a destination in mind. Even if you do not know where you are going, walk like you do. Pick a spot on the wall and walk toward it. Lengthen your stride. Swing your arms naturally. Keep your head up. Do not check your phone while walking. A person who is walking with purpose is assumed to be a person of importance. People will naturally move out of your way. Actionable step. The doorway trigger. We mentioned this in the introduction, but now we will master it. Every time you walk through a door frame, use it as a physical trigger to reset your body. As you cross the threshold, pull your shoulders back, lift your sternum, smile, engage your core. Imagine that the room is a stage and the curtain has just gone up. You are on. It does not matter if you are tired. It does not matter if you are sad. For the first 5 seconds of entering that room, you must project absolute vitality. Those first 5 seconds are when everyone makes their judgment. You can relax later, but you must nail the entry. Now we come to one of the most powerful psychological tools in existence. Mirroring. Mirroring is the act of subtly copying the body language of the person you are talking to. When two people are getting along well, they naturally mirror each other. If one leans forward, the other leans forward. If one crosses their legs, the other crosses their legs. This is the chameleon effect. We like people who are like us. We trust people who move like us. You can use this intentionally to build rapport, but you must be careful. If you copy them instantly, it looks like you are mocking them. It looks like a game. You must use a delay. If they lean back in their chair, wait 3 or 4 seconds and then casually lean back in yours. If they use a specific hand gesture, wait a minute and then use a similar gesture. This signals to their subconscious mind that you are on the same wavelength. It creates a feeling of harmony. Mirroring is not just about body language. It is also about energy. If someone is speaking slowly and calmly, and you are speaking fast and loud, there is a mismatch. You will annoy them. You must match their energy level. If they are excited, you must bring your energy up. If they are serious and contemplative, you must bring your energy down. This leads us to paralinguistics. This is the part of speech that is not the words themselves. It is the volume, the pace, and the tone. A low, calm voice is associated with authority. A high, fast voice is associated with nervousness. When you get nervous, your throat tightens and your pitch goes up. You start talking faster because you want to get it over with. You must consciously fight this. You must slow down. Speaking slowly is the ultimate power move. It shows that you are not afraid of being interrupted. It shows that you believe your time is valuable. Actionable step. Before you answer a question, take a deep breath. Speak slightly louder than you think you need to, and speak slightly slower than you want to. Enunciate your words. Do not mumble. Mumbling is the sound of someone who expects to be ignored. Clarity is the sound of someone who expects to be heard. If you have a naturally high voice, practice speaking from your chest rather than your throat. Put your hand on your chest and hum. Feel the vibration. That is where your power voice lives. We must also talk about the power of silence in conversation. We touched on this in the storytelling chapter, but it is part of your physical presence. Most people are terrified of silence, When the conversation stops, they panic and say something stupid just to fill the air. This makes them look weak. A confident person is comfortable with silence. When you ask a question, wait for the answer. Do not jump in to save them. When you make a point, let it land. Silence creates pressure. If you are in a negotiation, or asking for a raise, or selling yourself, silence is your best friend. Make your pitch, and then shut your mouth. The next person to speak loses. If you can sit in the silence longer than they can, you win the frame. You show that you are not desperate. Let us discuss the concept of touch. Touch is the most primitive form of connection. A handshake is a form of touch. A pat on the back is a form of touch. Used correctly, touch can create an instant bond. The oxytocin hormone is released when humans touch, creating a feeling of trust. But used incorrectly, touch is creepy and invasive. You must be calibrated. The handshake is non-negotiable. You must have a good handshake. A dead fish handshake makes you seem weak and lacking energy. A bone crusher handshake makes you seem aggressive and overcompensating. You want a firm, dry handshake. Web to web. This means the skin between your thumb and index finger should touch the same skin on their hand. Squeeze firmly, look them in the eye, smile, and pump twice. That is it. Beyond the handshake, be very careful. A light touch on the upper arm or the shoulder can be powerful during a moment of laughter or agreement. It creates a physical anchor for the positive emotion. But never touch someone you do not know well, and be extremely aware of cultural and personal boundaries. If you touch someone and they stiffen up or pull away, never do it again. Respect the boundary immediately, but if you get the handshake right, you have already established a physical connection. Your appearance is also part of your silent pitch. We live in a superficial world. People judge books by their covers. This is called the halo effect. If you look well-groomed and well-dressed, people automatically assume you are also smart, kind, and competent. If you look sloppy, people assume you are lazy and disorganized. This is not fair, but it is true. You must dress for the role you want to play. This does not mean you need expensive clothes. It means your clothes must fit. They must be clean. They must be appropriate for the environment. Actionable step. The uniform, check. Look at the most successful people in your field. What are they wearing? Are they wearing suits? Are they wearing hoodies? Are they wearing jeans? Identify the uniform of success in your specific world. Then, buy the best version of that uniform you can afford. When you put on the uniform, you feel different. It is like a soldier putting on armor. It changes your psychology. Do not try to be a rebel with your clothes until you are already successful. When you are selling yourself, you want to remove friction. You do not want your clothes to be a distraction. You want them to be a frame that highlights your face and your message. Grooming is even more important than clothes. You can have a $2,000 suit, but if your fingernails are dirty, or your hair is greasy, or you smell bad, you lose. These small details scream that you do not take care of yourself. And if you cannot take care of yourself, how can you take care of a business, a client, or a partner? Excellence is in the details. Keep your shoes polished. Keep your hair trimmed. Smell neutral or good, never overpowering. These things seem small, but they add up to a total picture of someone who has their life together. Let us talk about the concept of emotional contagion. You are a radio transmitter of emotion. If you are anxious, you make other people anxious. If you are calm, you make other people calm. This is because of mirror neurons in the brain. We catch feelings from other people like we catch a cold. This gives you a massive responsibility and a massive power. You can control the vibe of the room just by controlling your own internal state. If you walk into a chaotic, stressful meeting and you remain perfectly still, breathing slowly and speaking calmly, the room will eventually sink to you. You become the anchor. This is true leadership. Leadership is not about yelling orders. It is about regulating the emotional temperature of the group. If you want to sell yourself as a leader, you must be the calmest person in the room. When everyone else is freaking out, you are the rock. How do you maintain this calm? When you are actually freaking out inside, you use the breath. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. When we are stressed, we take short, shallow breaths into our chest. This tells the brain there is a tiger chasing us. To turn off the alarm, you must breathe into your belly. Actionable step, the box breath. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds, do this 4 times. It takes less than a minute, but it physically forces your heart rate to slow down. It physically forces your muscles to relax. You can do this with your eyes open in a meeting and nobody will know. You are hacking your biology in real time. Now let us combine all of these elements into a scenario. Imagine you are going to a networking event. You arrive at the door, you pause, you use the doorway trigger, shoulders back, chin up, smile, you breathe into your belly. You enter the room. You walk with purpose, lengthening your stride. You scan the room. You see someone you want to talk to. You approach them. You do not check your phone. You extend your hand. Web to web. Firm squeeze. You look them in the eye. You smile a real Duchenne smile, thinking about something funny. You say your name clearly and slowly. You do not mumble. As the conversation starts, you front them. You give them your full attention. You use active gazing, looking at their eyes and mouth. You use sticky eyes when you look away. You keep your hands visible using open palm gestures. You occasionally mirror their posture. You nod to show you are listening. You wait 2 seconds before answering their questions. You stand your ground and take up space. You look like a person who belongs there. You look like a prize. This sounds like a lot to remember. It is. You cannot master all of this in one day. If you try to do everything at once, you will look like a robot. You will be so focused on your hands that you will forget to listen. You must build these habits one by one. This is called stacking. Pick one thing to focus on for an entire week. Week 1. Focus only on eye contact. Do not worry about your hands or your feet. Just nail the 50-70 rule. Every single person you talk to, practice the triangle gaze. Practice the sticky eyes. Make it a game. See how long you can hold the gaze without it getting weird. By the end of the week, it will start to feel natural. You will stop thinking about it. Week 2. Focus on the doorway trigger. Every single door you walk through, reset your posture. Bedroom door, bathroom door, office door, grocery store door. Do it 100 times a day. Your posture will permanently change. You will start walking taller without even trying. You will grow an inch just by untwisting your spine. Week 3. Focus on your hands. Stop putting them in your pockets. Stop fidgeting. Practice the steeple. Practice talking with your palms up. Watch how people react differently to you. Watch how they trust you more. Week 4. Focus on the voice. Slow down. Enunciate. Embrace the silence. Force yourself to pause. By stacking these habits, you are reprogramming your operating system. You are turning the silent pitch from a conscious effort into an unconscious competence. Eventually, you will not have to think about any of this. You will just be it. You will walk into a room and people will turn their heads. They won't know why, but they will know that someone important has arrived. There is a concept in psychology called the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you act like you are valuable, people treat you like you are valuable. When people treat you like you are valuable, you start to believe it more. When you believe it more, you act even more confident. It is a positive feedback loop. But it has to start with the physical action. You have to jump-start the engine. You have to act the part before you feel the part. Do not listen to the people who say, just be yourself. If your self is currently slouching, mumbling and hiding in the corner, do not be that self. Be your best self. Be the self that honors your potential. Your body is a vehicle. Drive it like a Ferrari, not like a broken-down wagon. We must also address the digital silent pitch. In the modern world, your first impression often happens on a screen. It happens on a Zoom call or a video interview. The rules are the same, but the medium is different. On a video call, the camera is the eye. If you look at the face on the screen, you are looking down. You must look directly at the camera lens to make eye contact. This feels weird, but to the other person, it looks like you are looking right at them. Your background is your environment. If your background is a messy bedroom with unmade bed sheets, that is your silent pitch. It says, I am messy. Clean your background. Or use a plain virtual background. Lighting is your presence. If you are sitting in the dark, you look shady. If the light is behind you, you are a silhouette. Put a light in front of your face. Illuminate yourself. Frame yourself correctly. Do not have the camera looking up your nose. Put the camera at eye level. These digital details are the new body language. Master them. Finally, remember that the silent pitch is not about domination. It is not about intimidation. It is about invitation. You are not trying to scare people into respecting you. You are trying to make them feel safe enough to trust you. Open body language, genuine smiles, and calm energy are the most inviting signals in the world. They say, "I am secure in myself, so I do not need to take anything from you. I am here to give." When you master the silent pitch, you become a magnet. Opportunities come to you. People want to be around you. You sell yourself without saying a word. You become the person in the room that everyone wants to meet. And once they meet you, once you open your mouth and tell the story you crafted in Chapter 2 and back it up with the value you found in Chapter 1, you become unstoppable. You are a warrior in the arena of life. Your body is your armor and your weapon. Keep it polished. Keep it strong. Stand up straight. The world is watching. Chapter 3 is complete. You have the tools to master your physical presence. But what happens when you actually have to engage with the other person? What happens when the conversation starts? Most people think the key to conversation is being interesting. They are wrong. The key is being interested. In the next chapter, we will unlock the secret of magnetism. We will learn how to make anyone like you by making the conversation entirely about them. We will learn the art of listening. Get ready to disappear so that you can truly be seen. Keep riding the wave. Chapter 4. The magnetism of listening. You have learned how to build your value. You have learned how to tell your story. You have learned how to stand and move with power. Now we arrive at the most counterintuitive secret of selling yourself. Most people think that to sell yourself you must be the loudest person in the room. They think you must be the funniest, the smartest, and the one with the most interesting anecdotes. They think that influence comes from speaking. They are completely wrong. Influence comes from listening. The best talkers are usually the worst sellers. They are so busy trying to impress people with their words that they miss the most important data in the room. They miss the human being standing right in front of them. This chapter is about flipping the script. It is about becoming a master of silence. It is about becoming the most magnetic person in any room by doing the one thing that nobody else is doing: listening. We must understand the biology of why listening is so powerful. A team of neuroscientists at Harvard University conducted a massive study on human communication. They wanted to know what happens in the brain when people talk about themselves. They used fMRI scanners to watch the brain activity of people while they shared their opinions and their stories. The results were shocking. When a person talks about themselves, their brain releases a massive flood of dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It is the exact same chemical that is released when you eat delicious food, when you win money, or when you have sex. Talking about yourself is biologically addictive. It feels good. It acts like a drug. Now think about what this means for you. When you are in a conversation, if you are the one doing all the talking, you are the one getting the dopamine hit. You are feeling great. You think the conversation is going amazingly well because you are enjoying the chemical rush. But the other person is getting nothing. They are just standing there, waiting for their turn, starving for that dopamine. If you want to make someone fall in love with you, hire you, or trust you, you must give them the dopamine. You must let them talk. You must become the supplier of the drug. When you listen to someone deeply, when you encourage them to share their story, you are literally giving their brain a chemical reward. They will associate that feeling of pleasure with your presence. They will walk away thinking you are the most fascinating person they have ever met, even if you barely said a word. This is the core principle of magnetic listening. It is not about being passive. It is not about just shutting up. It is about actively facilitating the other person's pleasure. You are the director of the movie and they are the star. You are the interviewer and they are the celebrity. When you treat people this way, they become addicted to your attention. Attention is the rarest currency in the modern world. Everyone is distracted. Everyone is looking at their phones. Everyone is thinking about what they are going to say next. When you give someone your undivided, laser-focused attention, It is a gift so rare that it shocks them. It makes you unforgettable. Most people do not listen to understand. They listen to reply. This is the fatal flaw of communication. While the other person is speaking, most people are not actually hearing the words. They are mentally rehearsing their own comeback. They are thinking, "Oh, that reminds me of a story I have. I cannot wait to tell it." They are just waiting for a gap in the noise so they can jump in and hijack the conversation. This is called the shift response. You shift the focus from them back to you. If someone says, "I am so tired, I barely slept last night," a shift response is, "Me too, I only got 4 hours of sleep because my dog was barking." You just stole the spotlight. You made it about you. You must master the support response. The support response keeps the spotlight on them. If they say, "I am so tired, I barely slept last night," a support response is, "That sounds terrible. What was keeping you up?" Notice the difference. You acknowledge their pain and you asked a question that invites them to talk more. You gave them the floor. You signaled that their experience is more important than yours right now. This requires a massive amount of discipline. Your ego wants to talk. Your ego wants to be the star. You must suppress your ego. You must realize that selling yourself is not about proving how great you are. It is about making them feel how great they are. When you make someone feel important, they will do anything for you. Let us break down the mechanics of active listening. It starts with the physical. We talked about eye contact in the previous chapter, but here it is crucial. You must look at them. You cannot look at your phone. You cannot look at the TV in the background. If you check your phone while someone is pouring their heart out, you have just severed the connection. You have told them that a notification is more important than their soul. Put the phone away. Put it in your pocket. Turn it over on the table. Show them that they have no competition for your attention. Then you must use non-verbal cues. Nod your head. Lean in. Use small vocalizations like "mm-hmm," or "I see," or "wow." These are called minimal encouragers. They are like gas for the engine. They tell the speaker, "I am with you. Keep going." If you sit there completely silent and stone-faced, the speaker will feel judged. They will run out of energy. You need to feed them energy. You need to be a mirror that reflects their emotion back to them. If they are excited, smile. If they are sad, look concerned. This shows that you are not just hearing the sound waves, but you are processing the emotional content. One of the most powerful tools in your listening arsenal is the pause. We are terrified of silence. When someone stops talking, we feel an urge to immediately fill the void. We rush in with a comment or a new topic. You must resist this. When someone finishes a sentence, especially a deep or emotional one, count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. Keep looking at them. Often during that silence, they will add something else. They will go deeper. They will reveal the real truth. The first thing people say is usually the rehearsed, safe version. The thing they say after the silence is the raw, honest version. Silence draws the truth out of people. It creates a vacuum that they feel compelled to fill. Let them fill it. Another technique is called looping. This proves that you were listening. Looping is when you repeat back the core of what they just said in your own words. If someone spends 5 minutes complaining about their boss micromanaging them, do not just say, "That sucks." Say, "So it sounds like you feel completely untrusted and suffocated because he won't let you make a single decision on your own." When you do this, you will see a physical change in them. They will exhale. They will say, "Exactly." That word "exactly" is what you are hunting for. When someone says "exactly," it means they feel completely understood. It means you have successfully climbed inside their head and seen the world through their eyes. This creates a bond of trust that is almost impossible to break. Now let us talk about the art of the question. Questions are the steering wheel of the conversation. Whoever is asking the questions is in control. If you are doing all the talking, you are not in control. You are just performing. If you are asking the questions, you are guiding the ship. You can take the conversation anywhere you want, but you must ask the right kind of questions. You must avoid closed questions. A closed question is one that can be answered with a simple yes or no. Did you have a good weekend? Yes. Do you like your job? It is okay. These questions kill the conversation. They are dead ends. You must ask open questions. Open questions require a narrative answer. They force the other person to tell a story. Instead of asking, "Did you have a good weekend?" ask, "What was the highlight of your weekend?" Instead of asking, "Do you like your job?" ask, "What is the most challenging project you are working on right now?" Notice the difference. You are not asking for a fact. You are asking for a description. You are inviting them to open up. A great open question usually starts with the words, "What" or "How." Why is also powerful, but be careful with why. It can sometimes sound judgmental. "Why did you do that?" Sounds like an accusation. "What made you decide to do that?" Sounds like curiosity. There is a specific questioning framework you can use to navigate any social situation. It is called the Ford method. FORD. It stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. If you are stuck in a conversation and do not know what to ask, go through this list. Ask about their family. Do you have siblings? How did you meet your partner? Ask about their occupation. How did you get started in that field? What is the biggest change in your industry right now? Ask about their recreation. What do you do when you are not working? Have you read any good books lately? And finally, ask about their dreams. This is the most powerful one. What is the big goal you are chasing this year? If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? When you ask people about their dreams, you tap into their deepest values. Most people never get asked about their dreams. They get asked about the weather. They get asked about the traffic. When you ask someone what they are truly passionate about, you see their eyes light up. You see the real person emerge. And because you are the one who asked, they associate that feeling of passion with you. You become the person who understands their vision. Actionable step. In your next 3 conversations, try to reach the D in the Ford method. Try to ask a question about their future goals or their hidden passions. Watch how the energy in the room shifts. But asking the question is only the start. You must then ask follow-up questions. The magic is in the follow-up. If you ask, "What do you do for fun?" and they say, "I like to paint," and you say, "That is cool," and change the subject, you have failed. You just walked past a gold mine without digging. Dig deeper. Ask, "What kind of painting do you do? How long have you been painting? Do you show your work, or is it just for you? What do you feel when you are painting?" Every follow-up question peels back another layer of the onion. It shows that you are not just making polite small talk. It shows that you are genuinely fascinated by them. Curiosity is the greatest form of flattery. Let us address the problem of the boring person. We have all been stuck in a conversation with someone who seems incredibly dull. They give one-word answers. They have no hobbies. They seem to have no spark. It is easy to just write them off and walk away, but a master listener accepts the challenge. Every single human being on earth knows something that you do not. Every single person has a story that would break your heart or blow your mind if you could just find it. If someone is boring you, it is usually because you are asking boring questions. You have not found their button yet. Actionable step. The bore drill. Next time you are with a quiet or boring person, make it your mission to find the one thing they are passionate about. Try different topics. Try weird questions. Ask them, "What is the strangest thing that has ever happened to you?" Ask them, "If you won the lottery tomorrow, what is the very first thing you would buy?" Keep poking around until you see a spark. When you find that hidden interest, whether it is collecting stamps or watching old movies, lean into it. Let them teach you about it. You will be amazed at how a boring person transforms into a charismatic expert the moment they get to talk about what they love. On the flip side, we have the rambler, the person who talks non-stop and never lets you get a word in. This can be exhausting, but you can control this too. Often people ramble because they do not feel heard. They keep repeating themselves because they are waiting for a signal that the message has landed. If you are passive, they will keep talking forever. You need to interrupt them, but you need to interrupt them with validation. When they take a tiny breath, jump in and say, "Wait, I want to make sure I got that. You are saying that X, Y, and Z happened. Is that right?" When you summarize their point back to them, you stop the loop. You tell their brain, "Okay, the data has been transferred. You can stop sending it now." This allows you to pivot the conversation or end it gracefully. Listening is also about reading between the lines. People rarely say exactly what they mean. They speak in code, they hint at things. If someone says, "My job is fine, I guess," They are telling you that they hate their job, but they are afraid to admit it. If someone says, "We are thinking about moving maybe next year," they might be saying, "We are having financial trouble," or "We are having relationship trouble." You must listen for the emotion underneath the facts. You must listen for what is not being said. Actionable step. The emotional detective. In your next conversation, ignore the facts. Do not listen to the dates, the names, or the locations. Listen only for the feelings. Ask yourself, is this person anxious? Are they proud? Are they seeking approval? Are they lonely? When you identify the emotion, address it directly. Say, "You sound really overwhelmed right now." Or say, "You sound incredibly proud of that achievement, and you should be." When you speak to the emotion, you bypass the logical brain and go straight to the heart. This is where deep connection happens. You must also learn to withhold judgment. This is the hardest part. When someone tells you something you disagree with or something you think is stupid, your instinct is to correct them. Your instinct is to debate. You must suppress this instinct. Selling yourself is not about winning an argument. It is about winning the person. You can win the argument and lose the person. If you want to influence someone, you must first make them feel safe. They will not feel safe if they think you are judging them. You do not have to agree with them, but you must accept their perspective as valid to them. Instead of saying, "That is a terrible idea," say, "That is an interesting perspective. What makes you think that?" Stay curious. Treat their opinion like a specimen in a museum. Look at it. Walk around it. Ask questions about it. Do not smash it. When you listen to someone without judging them, you become a sanctuary. In a world full of critics and trolls, a person who simply listens without attacking is a rare refuge. People will flock to you because they feel safe with you, and once they feel safe, they become open to your influence. Let us talk about the specific power of names. A person name is the most beautiful sound in the world to them. When you use someone's name, you trigger a specific pattern of attention in their brain. It pulls them back to you. It makes the conversation feel personal. Most people are terrible at remembering names. They get introduced, and 2 seconds later, the name is gone. This is because they were not listening. They were thinking about how they looked or what they were going to say. Actionable step, the name game. When you meet someone new, you must use their name 3 times in the first minute. First, when you hear it, repeat it. "Nice to meet you, Sarah." Second, ask a question with it. "So, Sarah, how do you know the host?" Third, use it to anchor a point. "That is a great story, Sarah." By saying it out loud, you lock it into your memory, and you signal to them that they are not just a face in the crowd. They are an individual that you recognize and respect. If you forget a name, admit it immediately. Do not fake it. Say, "I am so sorry, my brain just froze. Tell me your name again." They will forgive you. They will not forgive you if you call them the wrong name for an hour. Now we must discuss the trap of advice giving. When someone tells us about a problem, our natural instinct is to fix it. We want to offer a solution. We say, "Oh, you should just do this," or "Have you tried doing that?" We think we are being helpful. Usually we are being annoying. When people share a problem, they are rarely looking for a solution. They are looking for empathy. They want to be heard. They want someone to say, "That sounds incredibly hard. I am sorry you are dealing with that." When you jump in with a solution, you are implying that they are incompetent. You are implying that the answer is simple and they are just too stupid to see it. This makes them defensive. Unless someone specifically asks, "What do you think I should do?" do not give advice. Just give understanding. Say, "I can see why that is so frustrating." This is often all the solution they need. They just need to vent the pressure. Be the valve, not the mechanic. However, if you are in a professional setting, listening has a different goal. In business, listening is about gathering intelligence. Every potential client, every boss, and every interviewer will tell you exactly how to sell yourself to them if you just listen. They will tell you their pain points. They will tell you what keeps them up at night. They will tell you what they value. Most people are too busy pitching their product or their resume to hear this information. Imagine you are in a job interview. The interviewer says, "We are really looking for someone who can handle a fast-paced environment because we have been missing deadlines lately." A bad listener hears fast-paced and thinks, I need to say, I work fast. A master listener hears missing deadlines. That is the pain point. That is the bleeding wound. The master listener then tailors their entire pitch to that wound. They say, it sounds like missing deadlines is a major stressor for the team right now. In my last job, I implemented a scheduling system that ensured we never missed a single launch date. Can I tell you how I did that? You used their own words to sell your solution. You can only do this if you are listening with the intent to solve, not the intent to impress. Listening is also the ultimate negotiation tool. In a negotiation, knowledge is power. The person who talks the most gives away the most information. The person who listens collects the information. If you are negotiating a salary, let them talk first. Let them reveal their budget. Let them reveal how desperate they are to hire you. If you speak first, you might ask for too little. If you listen, you learn the boundaries of the deal. Silence makes people nervous, and when they are nervous, they talk too much. They might reveal that they have no other candidates. They might reveal that they need someone to start on Monday. This information is gold. Let them fill the silence with gold, and then pick it up. Let us return to the concept of charisma. We often think charisma is about projecting energy outward, but there is a quieter, more powerful form of charisma called presence. Think about a great leader. Everyone who has ever met him says the same thing. When he talks to you, you feel like you are the only person in the universe. The room could be full of 1,000 people, but his eyes are locked on yours. He is listening to every word. He is not looking over your shoulder for someone more important. That is the highest level of charisma. It is the ability to make the person in front of you feel like the center of the world. You can develop this. It is not a magical gift. It is a discipline. It is the discipline of excluding the rest of the world. When you are with someone, be with them 100%. Do not let your mind wander to your to-do list. Do not let your eyes wander to the attractive person across the room. Lock in. Imagine there is a spotlight shining on the two of you, and the rest of the world is in darkness. This intensity is magnetic. People are starving for it. There is a metaphysical aspect to listening as well. When you truly listen to someone, you are validating their existence. You are saying, you matter. Your thoughts matter. Your life matters. In a world where people feel increasingly invisible and isolated, this is a profound act of love. It heals people, and people will always gravitate toward the source of their healing. If you are the person who makes them feel seen, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. They will buy what you are selling because they trust that you see them as a human being, not just a transaction. We must also talk about listening to yourself. This is intuition. Often, while we are listening to others, our gut is sending us signals. We might get a bad feeling about someone, even though they are saying all the right things. We might feel a sudden spark of excitement about an opportunity that looks risky on paper. You must learn to listen to these internal whispers. They are your subconscious mind processing data that your conscious mind has not caught up with yet. Do not ignore your gut. If a person feels off, they are off. If a deal feels wrong, it is wrong. Listening to others gives you external data. Listening to yourself gives you internal wisdom. You need both to navigate the world. Let us explore the level of listening called empathetic listening. This goes beyond words and beyond emotions. It goes to values. You are listening for what matters most to this person. If someone talks constantly about their family, their core value is family. If someone talks constantly about their achievements, their core value might be status or recognition. If someone talks about fairness and rules, their core value is justice. When you identify someone's core value, you have the key to their motivation. You can frame your ideas in a way that aligns with their values. If you are trying to sell an idea to a boss who values security, you do not talk about how revolutionary and risky the idea is. You talk about how this idea will protect the company and ensure long-term stability. If you are selling the same idea to a boss who values innovation, you talk about how this idea will disrupt the market and crush the competition. The idea is the same. The pitch changes based on what you heard in their values. This is not manipulation, it is translation. You are translating your value into a language they understand. Actionable step, the value hunt. In your next conversation with a close friend or partner, try to identify their top 3 values. Listen to what they complain about. People usually complain when a value is being ignored. If they complain about a friend being late, they value respect and time. If they complain about a messy house, they value order. Once you identify the values, validate them. Say, I know punctuality is really important to you, so I understand why you are upset. They will feel deeply seen. What about when you disagree? Listening does not mean submission. You can listen to someone and still think they are wrong, but you must listen first. There is a rule in negotiation called seek first to understand, then to be understood. You cannot persuade a person to put down the pew-pew until he feels that you understand why he picked it up. You cannot persuade a client to change their mind until they feel you understand their objection. When you disagree, do not interrupt with a counter-argument. Let them finish. Then summarize their argument better than they did. Say, I want to make sure I understand your position. You believe X because of Y and Z. Is that correct? Once they say yes, you have earned the right to speak. You have proven you are not just ignoring them. Then you can say, I understand that perspective. However, I have a different experience. They will be much more open to listening to you because you listened to them first. Reciprocity is a powerful law of human nature. You get what you give. Let us talk about the digital age of listening. Listening on the internet is reading. It is paying attention to the comments. It is paying attention to the feedback. If you are a content creator or a business owner, your audience is talking to you every day. They are telling you what they like and what they hate. Most people ignore the comments or get defensive. The winners read every single one. They look for patterns. They listen to the market. The market is always speaking. If you are not making sales, the market is telling you that your offer is bad or your story is unclear. Listen to the data. Do not argue with the data. There is also the concept of reflective listening in conflict. When you are in a fight with a partner or a friend, emotions are high. The brain goes into fight or flight mode. The listening centers shut down. You are just waiting to shout your next point. You must manually override this. You must force yourself to slow down. Use the phrase, tell me more about that. Even when they are screaming, say, tell me more about why that makes you angry. It diffuses the anger. It drains the balloon. You cannot fight someone who is genuinely trying to understand you. It takes two to fight. It only takes one to listen. Let us practice a scenario. You are at a networking event. You meet a potential mentor, a very successful person. Most people would start pitching themselves. Hi, I am John. I am very ambitious. Please hire me. The mentor hears this 1,000 times a day. He is bored. You do the opposite. You say, Hi, I am John. I have followed your career for years. I am curious, what was the one decision you made 10 years ago that had the biggest impact on where you are today? Boom. You just asked an open question. You asked about his life. You asked for his wisdom. He will start talking. He will tell a story. You listen. You nod. You use sticky eyes. You wait for the pause. You ask a follow-up. What was the hardest part of making that decision? He talks more. He starts to enjoy the conversation. The dopamine is flowing. After 10 minutes, he thinks, this kid John is smart. He asks really good questions. He is not just another annoying beggar. At the end of the conversation, he asks you, so John, what is your story? Now the door is wide open. Now he actually wants to hear it. You have earned his attention by giving him yours. This is the strategic advantage of listening. It differentiates you. In a noisy world, silence is a differentiator. In a selfish world, interest is a differentiator. By doing the work that nobody else wants to do, the work of sitting still and paying attention, you gain the rewards that nobody else gets. Remember the ratio. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Listen twice as much as you speak. If you are speaking more than 50% of the time, you are losing. Aim for the 80-20 rule. Let them talk for 80% of the time. You talk for 20%. Your 20% should be questions, validations, and short, powerful stories that relate to what they just said. This does not mean you are a doormat. It does not mean you have no personality. It takes a very strong personality to remain silent. It takes confidence to let someone else shine. Weak people need to talk to prove they exist. Strong people know they exist, so they can afford to listen. Actionable step. The silence challenge. For the next 24 hours, try to see how long you can go in a conversation without talking about yourself. If someone asks you a question, answer it briefly, and then immediately throw the ball back to them with a question. See how much you can learn about the people around you. You will be shocked at the secrets people will reveal when you just give them the space to do it. You are building a reputation as a person of depth. Shallow people talk, deep people listen. When you are known as a listener, people will come to you with opportunities, with secrets, and with trust. You become the hub of the network. You become the person who knows what is actually going on. As we close this chapter, I want you to realize that listening is an act of generosity. It is giving your life energy to another human being. It is the ultimate compliment. You are telling them, you are worth my time, you are worth my focus. And because you treat them as valuable, they will treat you as valuable. You are selling yourself by buying into them. It is a paradox, but it is the truth. In the next chapter, we will face the hardest part of the journey. We have built our value, we have told our story, we have mastered our body, and we have learned to listen. But even if you do everything right, the world will sometimes say no. You will be rejected. You will fail. The final step in selling yourself is learning how to handle the word no without falling apart. We are going to step into the arena of rejection and learn how to turn it into fuel. Get ready to build your armor. Keep riding the wave. Chapter 5. Stepping into the arena. You have spent the last 4 chapters preparing for battle. You have done the internal work to find your hidden value. You have crafted a story that turns your past struggles into a compelling narrative. You have mastered the silent pitch, learning to stand and move with the authority of a leader. You have learned the magnetic art of listening, giving others the gift of your attention to win their trust. You are ready. You look the part. You sound the part. You feel the part. But now comes the hardest truth of all. You can do everything right. You can be the most prepared person in the room. You can have the best suit and the best smile, and the world can still look you in the eye and say no. This is the moment where most people quit. They build themselves up, they step out onto the stage, and the moment they face their first rejection, they collapse. They take the word no as a judgment on their soul. They think it means they are worthless. They retreat back into the shadows and never try again. This chapter is about making sure that never happens to you. This chapter is about stepping into the arena. It is about understanding that rejection is not the end of the road. It is the road. You cannot sell yourself if you are terrified of someone not buying. You cannot win if you are afraid to lose. We are going to rewrite your relationship with failure. We are going to turn the word no from a weapon that hurts you into a fuel that propels you. Let us look at the reality of the arena. The arena is any place where you risk emotional exposure. It is the job interview. It is the date. It is the moment you ask for a raise. It is the moment you post your art online. When you step into the arena, you are vulnerable. You are saying, this is who I am and this is what I have to offer. Please accept me. That is a terrifying position to be in. It triggers every primal fear we have. Our ancestors knew that if the tribe rejected them, they would die alone in the wilderness. Your brain still thinks that a rejection email is a death sentence. It is not. It is just data. We must look at the math of success to break this fear. Let us look at baseball. In baseball, the very best players in the history of the sport, the legends who are in the Hall of Fame, have a batting average of around 300. That means that for every 10 times they step up to the plate, they miss the ball 7 times. They fail 70% of the time, and yet we call them heroes. We pay them millions of dollars. Why? Because we understand that the game is hard. We understand that missing is part of the process. In the game of selling yourself, the odds are often similar. You might apply for 10 jobs and get 1 interview. You might ask 5 people on a date and get 1 yes. This is not a sign that you are broken. It is just the math of the market. If a baseball player quit after striking out once, he would never make it to the major leagues. You must stop expecting to hit a home run every single time you swing the bat. Rejection is simply a sorting mechanism. Imagine you are a puzzle piece. You are a specific shape, you have specific colors. You are trying to find the place where you fit. When you try to push yourself into a space where you do not fit, the universe blocks you. That block is a rejection. It is not saying that you are a bad puzzle piece. It is simply saying, you do not fit here. Try the next spot. If you take that personally, If you think, oh no, I am the wrong shape, I need to cut off my edges to fit in, you destroy your value. You must keep your shape. You must keep looking for the slot that was made for you. When you find it, the fit will be effortless. A no is just the universe saving you from being in the wrong place. Let us discuss the biology of rejection pain. Why does it hurt so much? Why does a breakup or a firing feel like physical pain in your chest? Scientists have found that the same part of the brain that processes physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, also processes social rejection. To your brain, a broken heart and a broken leg are surprisingly similar. You are not being dramatic. The pain is real. But just because the pain is real does not mean it is dangerous. You can feel the pain, acknowledge it, and still keep moving. You must develop the ability to separate the feeling from the fact. The feeling is, I am hurt. The fact is, they just didn't need what I was selling today. We are going to learn a technique called the 24-hour rule. This is a rule used by elite athletes and top-tier business people. When you have a massive failure or a massive rejection, you are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to cry, scream into a pillow, or eat a tub of ice cream. But you are only allowed to do it for 24 hours. You set a timer. For one day you wallow in the misery, you feel every ounce of the disappointment. But the moment that 24 hours is up, you must stop. You must wash your face, you must stand up, and you must get back to work. Why 24 hours? Because you need to process the emotion so it doesn't get stuck in your body, but you cannot stay there. If you stay there for a week, it becomes a depression. If you stay there for a month, it becomes a lifestyle. Give yourself a deadline for your pity party. Then move on. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail the fastest. There is a concept in Silicon Valley called failing forward. It means that every failure brings you one step closer to the solution. Thomas Edison did not fail 10,000 times to make a light bulb. He found 10,000 ways that did not work. This is a crucial mindset shift. If you are not getting rejected, you are not trying hard enough. If you hear yes to everything you ask for, you are asking for things that are too small. You should be aiming for things that are slightly out of your reach. You should be collecting rejections like trophies. A rejection proves that you are pushing your boundaries. It proves that you are in the arena. Let us look at some case studies of famous failures. We often see the glory and forget the grit. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was a single mother living on welfare. She wrote her book in cafes while her baby slept. When she sent it to publishers, 12 different publishing houses rejected it. 12 professionals read the book and said, "This is garbage. Nobody will read this." Imagine if she had stopped after the 3rd rejection. Imagine if she had stopped after the 10th. She would still be poor and the world would have missed out on magic. She did not let the opinion of 12 people define her worth. She kept going until she found the 13th person who said yes. Look at Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. He was 65 years old when he started his franchise. He was broke and living on Social Security. He had a recipe for chicken and a dream. He drove around the country sleeping in his car, trying to sell his recipe to restaurant owners. He was rejected 1,009 times. 1,009 times. Can you imagine the level of belief you must have to hear the word no 1,000 times and still knock on the next door? Most people quit after 3 no's. He did not. He knew his value. He just needed to find the people who could see it. Today his face is on buckets of chicken all over the planet. These stories are not just inspiring anecdotes. They are blueprints. They teach us that the word no is not a wall. It is a speed bump. You just have to drive over it. The only person who can declare you a failure is you. If you keep going, you have not failed. You are just in the middle of the process. The game only ends when you take your ball and go home. As long as you are still on the field, you have a chance to win. Actionable step. The rejection resume. This is a powerful exercise to desensitize yourself to failure. I want you to write a resume, but instead of listing your achievements, I want you to list your failures. List the schools that did not accept you. List the jobs that did not hire you. List the relationships that ended. List the projects that flopped. Be detailed. Write down exactly what happened. When you look at this document, you will realize something amazing. You are still here. You survived all of those things. None of them killed you. In fact, many of them probably led you to something better. That job you didn't get might have saved you from a toxic boss. That relationship that ended might have freed you to meet someone better. Your rejection resume is proof of your resilience. It is a badge of honor. We must talk about the concept of the locus of control. This is a psychological term. People with an external locus of control believe that things happen to them. They believe that luck, fate, or other people control their lives. When they get rejected, they say the system is rigged or the interviewer didn't like me. They play the victim. People with an internal locus of control believe that they make things happen. When they get rejected, they ask, what could I have done differently? Did I prepare enough? Was my story clear? Was my body language open? They take responsibility. You must develop an internal locus of control. This does not mean you blame yourself for everything. Sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. But it means you focus on the variables you can change. You cannot change the economy. You cannot change the hiring manager's mood. You can change your preparation. You can change your skills. You can change your attitude. Focus entirely on your own performance. When you focus on what you can control, you feel powerful. When you focus on what you cannot control, you feel helpless. Let us discuss the pivot. Sometimes you are banging your head against a wall that will never move. Persistence is a virtue, but stupidity is not. How do you know the difference? How do you know when to keep pushing and when to change direction? The key is data. If you are getting the exact same rejection for the exact same reason over and over again, the market is telling you something. If 20 people tell you that your price is too high, your price is probably too high. If 10 people tell you that your presentation is confusing, it is probably confusing. You must listen to the feedback. This is where the why comes in. Actionable step. When someone rejects you, do not just walk away with your head down. Ask them why. This takes courage. Say, thank you for your time. I completely respect your decision, but I am always trying to improve. Could you tell me one thing I could have done better? Most people will be shocked by this question. They will appreciate your humility, and they will often give you the gold. They might say, well, you seemed a little unsure of your figures. Or they might say, we felt you didn't have enough experience in this specific software. This is massive information. Now you know exactly what to fix for the next time. You have turned a loss into a lesson. You must also understand the concept of not yet. A researcher named Carol Dweck talks about the growth mindset. In a fixed mindset, you are either smart or dumb, talented or untalented. In a growth mindset, you are constantly becoming. When you fail a test, a fixed mindset says, I am a failure. A growth mindset says, I haven't passed this test yet. That tiny word, yet, changes everything. It implies that success is inevitable if you keep working. When a client says no, tell yourself, they haven't said yes yet. Maybe they will say yes in 6 months. Maybe they will say yes when you have more experience. Keep the door open. Let us talk about the specific fear of judgment. This is what really stops people from selling themselves. We are not afraid of the outcome. We are afraid of what people will say about the outcome. We are afraid that if we try and fail, people will laugh at us. We are afraid that our friends will think we are delusional. We are afraid that our family will say, I told you so. This is the spotlight effect. We think everyone is watching us. We think everyone is analyzing our every move. The truth is, nobody cares. This sounds harsh, but it is liberating. Everyone is too busy worrying about their own lives to worry about yours. If you fail, people might notice for 5 seconds. Then they will go back to thinking about what they are going to have for lunch. Do not let the imaginary opinions of other people stop you from living your real life. The critics are not the ones in the arena. The critics are sitting in the cheap seats, safe and comfortable. Never take advice from someone who is not taking risks. Their opinion is irrelevant. You must build a callus over your ego. When you first start lifting weights, your hands get blisters, it hurts. But if you keep lifting, the skin gets harder. It becomes a callus. The weight does not get lighter, but your hands get tougher. Rejection is the same. The first time you get fired, it destroys you. The 5th time, it is just a Tuesday. You pack your box and move on. You must actively seek out rejection to build this callus. There is a game called rejection therapy. The goal is to go out and intentionally get rejected. Go to a coffee shop and ask for a free burger. They will say no. Go to a stranger and ask to borrow $100. They will say no. Why would you do this? To realize that the world does not end. You ask, they say no, and the sun keeps shining. The floor does not open up and swallow you. You realize that the word no is harmless. It is just a sound wave. Once you lose your fear of the sound, you become unstoppable. You can ask for anything. You can ask for the biggest sale, the hottest date, the highest salary. Because the worst thing that can happen is they say no, and you already know you can survive that. Let us talk about the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. If you believe there is only one good job in the world or only one soulmate, rejection feels like the end of the world. You think, I lost my one chance. This is scarcity. It is a lie. The world is abundant. There are millions of jobs. There are billions of people. There is an infinite amount of money circulating in the economy. If one opportunity closes, it is because another one is waiting to open. You must believe that the ocean is full of fish. If you miss one catch, cast your line again. Do not stare at the empty hook and cry, cast again. When you are in the middle of a rejection storm, when you have sent out 50 resumes and heard nothing back, you must protect your energy. This is the danger zone. This is when bitterness starts to creep in. You start to hate the people who are succeeding. You start to think the world is unfair. You must fight this. Bitterness is poison. If you carry bitterness, people will smell it on you. It will seep into your silent pitch. It will ruin your story. You must remain optimistic. You must believe that your breakthrough is coming. How do you stay optimistic when the evidence says you are failing? You focus on the inputs, not the outputs. You cannot control the output. You cannot control if they hire you. You can control the input. You can control how many calls you make. You can control how many hours you study. Make your goal about your effort, not the result. If your goal is to get a job, you might fail today. If your goal is to send 5 excellent applications, you can succeed today regardless of whether they call you back. Celebrate the effort. Reward yourself for doing the work. The results will take care of themselves eventually. Let us discuss the concept of bridge burning. When you get rejected, it hurts. You might want to lash out. You might want to send an angry email telling them they made a huge mistake. Do not do this. Never burn a bridge. You never know where that person will be in 5 years. The person who rejected you today might be the person who recommends you for a different job tomorrow. Always be gracious. Always take the high road. Say, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed meeting you. If anything changes, please let me know. This is class. People remember class. Being a sore loser proves they were right to reject you. Being a gracious loser makes them wonder if they made a mistake. Sometimes, rejection is a test of your commitment. The universe has a funny way of testing how much you really want something. If you give up after the first obstacle, you didn't want it bad enough. If you keep coming back, if you keep finding new angles, you prove your desire. There is a story about a young man who asked a guru, "How do I become wise?" The guru held the man's head under water. The man struggled and kicked. Finally, the guru let him up. The man gasped for air. The guru said, "When you want wisdom as much as you wanted that breath of air, then you will have it. You have to want your goal more than you fear the pain of rejection." Actionable step. The visualization of success. Athletes use this all the time. Before you step into the arena, visualize the best-case scenario. See yourself shaking hands. Hear them saying yes. Feel the excitement. This primes your brain to look for opportunities, but you must also visualize the obstacle. Visualize them saying no. Visualize yourself staying calm. Visualize yourself smiling and walking away with your dignity. When you mentally rehearse the rejection, it loses its power to shock you. You have already lived it in your mind, so when it happens in reality, you are ready. We must also talk about the supportive tribe. You cannot handle constant rejection alone. You need a cornerman. In boxing, the fighter goes out, gets punched in the face for 3 minutes, and then comes back to the corner. The cornerman wipes the blood off, gives him water, and tells him he can win. You need people in your life who remind you of your value when the world is telling you that you are worthless. Share your struggles with them. Do not hide your failures. Let them support you. A burden shared is a burden halved. Let us go deeper into the psychology of sales. In sales, there is a funnel. You put 100 leads in the top. 50 of them are interested. 20 of them ask for a price. 5 of them buy. This is normal. If you want 5 sales, you must start with 100 leads. If you want to sell yourself, you must increase your volume. You cannot apply for one job and wait by the phone. You must apply for 50. You cannot message one person and hope they are the love of your life. You must meet many people. Volume cures luck. If you do enough things, something will eventually stick. Stop being precious with your efforts. Be prolific. There is a concept called the dip. Seth Godin wrote a book about it. The dip is the long, hard slog between starting something new and mastering it. In the beginning, it is fun. Then it gets hard. You get rejected. You see no progress. This is the dip. Most people quit in the dip. But the dip is the reason success is valuable. If it were easy, everyone would do it. The scarcity of success comes from the fact that most people cannot survive the dip. When you are suffering, when you are getting rejected, remind yourself, I am in the dip. This is where the competition quits. If I keep going, I leave them behind. The pain is the filter. It filters out the people who don't deserve the prize. Let us address the imposter voice again. When you get rejected, the voice in your head gets loud. It says, see, I told you, you're a fraud. You're not good enough. You must have a conversation with this voice. You must treat it like a scared child. Say, I hear you. I know you're trying to protect me from pain, but we are going to keep trying. Do not fight the voice. Just acknowledge it and ignore it. You are the captain of the ship. The voice is just a passenger. The passenger can scream all they want, but you are the one holding the wheel. Consider the story of Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Walt Disney, lacking imagination. It sounds like a joke. But at the time it was a devastating rejection. He went on to go bankrupt several times. He created a cartoon mouse and was told that it would terrify women. He pitched his theme park idea and was told it would be a chaotic mess. He ignored them all. He had a vision that was bigger than their rejection. You must have a vision for your life that is so clear, so bright, that the word no looks like a tiny shadow in comparison. Actionable step. Create a wall of wins. We talked about the inventory log in Chapter 1. The wall of wins is the visual version. Put up certificates, thank you notes, photos of good times, or even just sticky notes with your achievements on a wall in your room. When you come home after a brutal day of rejection, stand in front of that wall. Force your brain to see the evidence of your success. It balances the scale. The world gave you a no today, but this wall proves you have had many yeses in the past. It reminds you that winning is possible because you have done it before. We need to talk about the timing of the pitch. Sometimes rejection is just about bad timing. You might be the perfect candidate, but they just hired someone else yesterday. You might be the perfect partner, but they are going through a messy divorce. You cannot take this personally. You cannot control the timing. All you can do is show up. Sometimes selling yourself is about waiting. It is about staying on their radar. Send a follow-up email in 6 months. Check in. Things change. People get fired. Budgets open up. Relationships end. If you stay in the orbit, you will be there when the window opens. There is a powerful phrase, SWSWSW. It stands for some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting. This is the mantra of the master salesperson. Some people will buy what you are selling. Some people won't. So what? It doesn't matter. Someone else is waiting for you. Move on to the next person. Do not waste time trying to convince someone who is determined to say no. Spend your time finding the person who is dying to say yes. Let us look at the concept of polarization. If you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to anyone. You become bland. Bland is safe, but bland doesn't sell. When you are truly yourself, when you show your true value and tell your true story, you will polarize people. Some people will love you. Some people will hate you. This is good. Rejection from the wrong people is actually a sign of success. It means you are being distinct. If everyone thinks you are just okay, nobody will hire you. You want people to either be obsessed with you or not interested at all. Do not fear the hate. Fear the indifference. Actionable step. The feedback filter. When you get feedback or rejection, you need to filter it. Is this person an expert? Do they have my best interests at heart? Are they successful in the area I am trying to succeed in? If the answer is no, throw the feedback in the trash. If your broke uncle tells you your business idea is bad, ignore him. If a billionaire tells you your business idea is bad, listen. Not all rejection is created equal. Weigh the source. Let us talk about the physical recovery from rejection. When you have a bad day, your body is flooded with cortisol. You need to flush it out. Do not just sit on the couch. Move. Go for a run. Lift heavy weights. Scream in your car. Physical exertion burns off the stress hormones. It resets your chemistry. You will feel mentally clearer after you sweat. Make exercise a non-negotiable part of your rejection recovery protocol. Also, watch your language. Do not say, "I am a failure." Say, "I failed at this attempt." Do not say, "Everyone hates me." Say, "This one person didn't connect with me." Do not catastrophize. Keep your language specific and temporary. "I am a failure" is permanent. "I failed today" is temporary. Words shape your reality. Be precise. We must also discuss the role of luck. Luck plays a huge role in success. But luck is not magic. Luck is probability. The more times you step into the arena, the more chances you give luck to find you. You cannot control when the lightning strikes, but you can control how long you stand out in the storm holding a metal rod. Persistence increases your surface area for luck. If you quit, you reduce your surface area to 0. Let's go back to the hero's journey from chapter 2. In every movie, there is a moment called the all is lost moment. The hero is defeated. The villain has won. The sword is broken. This is the most important part of the movie. If the hero won easily, we wouldn't care. We watch to see what they do when all is lost. You are the hero of your own movie. When you are facing a massive rejection, realize that you are just in the all is lost scene. This is not the credits. This is the part where you dig deep and find the strength to rise again. This is the part that makes the story good. Actionable step. The gratitude pivot. It is impossible to be angry and grateful at the same time. The brain cannot hold both emotions. When you are stinging from rejection, force yourself to find 3 things to be grateful for. Be grateful that you had the courage to try. Be grateful for the skills you have. Be grateful for the sunny day. It sounds cheesy, but it works. It shifts your brain from threat mode to safety mode. It calms the anxiety. Finally, you must learn to sell yourself to yourself. This is the most important sale of all. If you buy your own value, it doesn't matter if no one else does yet. You know it's there. You know it's real. You are just holding the stock until the market catches up. Walk with the confidence of someone who knows a secret. The secret is that you are going to make it, no matter how many times you hear the word no. Every no is a brick. You can carry the bricks around in a backpack and let them crush you. Or you can take the bricks, lay them down, and build a staircase that leads you up to where you want to be. The choice is yours. The bricks are coming either way. Build with them. Stepping into the arena is a daily choice. You have to wake up every morning and choose to be brave. You have to choose to risk your heart. You have to choose to be seen. It is scary. It is painful. It is exhausting. But it is the only way to live a life that matters. The safety of the shadows is a prison. The danger of the arena is freedom. Conclusion. We have reached the end of our journey together. We have traveled from the internal world of finding your hidden value to the external world of telling your story. We have learned to master the silent signals of your body and the magnetic power of your ears. And finally, we have learned how to stand firm when the world tries to knock us down. You now have the complete toolkit. You know that selling yourself is not about trickery. It is not about manipulation. It is about authenticity. It is about alignment. It is about clearing away the fog so that the world can see the brilliant, capable, and valuable human being that you actually are. The world is full of noise. It is full of people shouting to be heard. Do not just shout. Resonate. Let your value speak through your actions, your posture, and your attention. Be the person who brings solutions. Be the person who listens. Be the person who gets back up. You are your greatest asset. You are the only stock that you can control. Invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and sell yourself with pride. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. Do not deny them. Go out there. Open the door. Step into the arena and show them what you are made of. If this audiobook brought you value today, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and join the Audio Waves family. We are building a community of people dedicated to growing every single day, and we'd love to have you with us. Keep riding the wave.